Chapter 55, 53. Deputy Hall Master Zhong waved his sleeves, and several people behind him stepped forward to restrain Gong Miaoya's body, and then left with Deputy Hall Master Zhong. There is no announcement to the outside world. Deputy Hall Master Zhong has also asked Wu Zua and found that Wu Zua suddenly loses his mind about this matter, and he also has doubts and guesses in his heart. But he should do nothing less. Wu Shan was different. He had already seen that something was wrong. After Jian Wushuang ran with mysterious Zhu Jian, he lost his heart and returned to the Xiao family. Everything fell into the ordinary. Only Wu Zua was waiting anxiously, and he found that Jian Wushuang could not be reached. The origin of the sea. Wu Zua paced back and forth, anxious in his heart. Zhen Ling gave him a big look and cursed, "What sway? My eyes are dazzled." "My lord, I am incompetent." Wu Zua knelt down directly. He lost Jian Wushuang. It was agreed to save Jian Wushuang's life, but now he is gone again. It was the same last time. It was the northern border, and it was a familiar place. Zhen Ling shook his head and said calmly, "Thanks, can't get out of my palm." With gestures of his palm, Zhen Ling frowned. That faint breath is weakening. The bracelet that he played was almost crushed by him. Damn it! After feeling the place where the faint breath had stopped, Zhen Ling yelled angrily. It was true that he hadn't escaped from his palm, but Jian Wushuang's current position, he couldn't go. It was very special. The first prison. It was a one-way journey. At the same time, he also discovered Fuigo through Jian Wushuang. No wonder Fuigo has not been found, because he was afraid of death, and went directly to the first prison. It is impossible for them to escape from the Temple of Qishan, and it is impossible for them to hide. That's only to enter the first prison. Wu Zua was taken aback by the real spirit, and the atmosphere didn't dare to make a sound. "Go!" Zhen Ling lifted the chessboard directly. Wu Zua quickly retired and left in a desperate manner. This time the plan seemed to be a complete failure. "I don't know how many times I hit the palace lord and failed again." He also lost Jian Wushuang. This time he was completely unable to turn around. Even the many benefits of Jian Wushuang could not be converted by the true spirit. This time I lost the woman and lost the soldiers. Zhen Ling stood up. This time it was his turn to pace. The first prison is very strong, but it can't stand the peak of Fuigo. At that time, what should Fuigo do with the Frosa? Zhen Ling was completely panicked. I started to pray in my heart. I didn't believe this, but now I can only do this. I hope that Jian Wushuang will guard his heart and protect everyone from the individual. The first prison. Master Fuigo, right here. Yes, that's it. Take care of it. My life force is a bit violent. Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged in the void, directing a large number of emperors to arrange a formation. This formation, with him as the core, was specially restored by Fuigo. Through this formation, he is like a source of life, constantly able to restore Fuigo's strength, and also able to resolve the hidden wounds left by the gods. The gods turned into humanoid beasts, and what they saw from the side was stunned. He originally thought Jian Wushuang would use some tricks, but he didn't expect to cooperate like this. Not only did he propose a formation method, he also took the initiative to say how powerful the life force is, which can help him heal his hidden injuries. In this way, not only can Fuigo be able to recover to the peak and reach the state of the Master of the Universe, but he can also return to the level of the Master of the Universe. However, he has been suppressed since his birth, and his strength is much worse than Fuigo, and he has just entered the realm of the Master of the Universe. But it would be nice to be able to recover and escape. Having been suppressed for countless epochs, he tried his best to calculate step by step and lay out the 4 secret realms, waiting for this day. But it was also because of Jian Wushuang's special nature that it was able to go so smoothly. according to the original plan. Fuigo was sent to the first prison to find an exit. But after a big turn, there was no exit at all. I was almost desperate at first. Only the official in the origin of everything is left. When the opponent is born, I don't know how long it will take. Even if it can break out of the shell perfectly, the strength will first enter the level of the Lord of the Universe, which is not enough to see. True Spirit has made several shots he has observed, and he is definitely not an ordinary master of the universe. Now, Jian Wushuang has given him a surprise. The force of life, that is the power of all things, the most perfect power evolved. With this strength, he can not only escape from the prison, but also restore the peak. Quickly, I can leave soon. God Frosa was very excited. Since his birth, he has not been free and can only rely on his original inheritance to feel the glory of the outside world. Of course, it is not the long river of time and space here. It was the long river of time and space that multiplied to the peak in the starry sky, where was his home. Although they were all divided into a long river of time and space when they were born, not everyone can finally control a time and space. There are also those who can't go down, go to the strong people of the same clan. For example, Fuigo was born much earlier than him. Not only did he not control a long river of time and space, but he also encountered a peerless strong man and was almost beheaded. Fortunately, the ability to escape for life is not weak, and relying on a strong fellow of the same clan with great strength can be considered a firm foothold. Compared with Fuigo, he is still a bit more miserable. It's worse than him, and it's not nothing. The one in the origin of everything does not even have the ability to break out of the shell. I was relieved when I thought about it this way. The gathering of the three giants, which is rarely seen in the history of their clan. Most of the giant tribes are roaming or wandering outside, and the best ones are to control a time and space and become the overlord of the starry sky. There are few opportunities to meet with the same race. Just when the Frosa was thinking about the future, the array that was laid out began to exude tremendous power. Although that power is violent, no matter it is a practitioner or an ordinary person, as long as it is a life, it is very comfortable to feel that power, but all practitioners in the formation are very comfortable. I feel that my vitality is constantly rising. Success. Jian Wushuang was overjoyed in his heart. He himself didn't expect that he would succeed so soon. He had previously thought that it would fall to this point. Wuzhua has repeatedly assured him that as long as he finds the true spirit of Fuigo, he will end up personally. What is the result? The real spirit did not wait, but the gods and Fuigo went off in person. Although neither of the two's combat power has returned to the level of the Lord of the Universe, together they are definitely the combat power of the Lord of the Universe. What he can do as a Taoist, he can only recognize the current affairs as the master and take one step to see. Now that the formation is set up successfully, all that is left is to help Fuigo recover his strength. This is also the easiest step, but for him, it is a bit uncomfortable. He needs to use countless vitality to nourish Fuigo. Chapter 55-54. He has this power, but I wanted to use so much life force at once. Even if I squeezed him dry, I couldn't squeeze it out. Jian Wushuang reminded a little embarrassingly, Master Shunling, this formation has been completed. Look. Why, what's the problem? Fuigo opened his eyes first and looked at Jian Wushuang. With this formation, it can maximize the transformation of life force into his body. This is the most perfect way. The smiled lightly, but it doesn't hurt to say it. Lord God, relying on this formation, it takes at least 3 epochs to recover from the injuries on the 2 of them. If you want to be faster, but I need the supplement of the power of all things. Jian Wushuang was very tactful. The treasures needed are said. 3 epochs, what he said still has some leeway. It really takes 3 epochs to maintain the strength of self-recovery to run the big formation. If you suffer a little, in fact, 2 epochs will be enough. But he didn't want to waste such a long time. I really have to wait for 2 epochs. I am afraid that there will be several cosmic masters in the Temple of Chishan. By that time, these 2 are really going out. I am afraid there will be a big battle when he is not a human inside and outside. He can't just look at the present. He has to find a clear path for himself. If these 2 return to their peaks now, no one from the outside world can stop them. He didn't know the true spirit's strength. Even if it could be stopped, he would be evenly matched. At that time, he could still deal with the 2 sides. Don't let one party be too strong. Otherwise, he will be useless. A useless person will generally not end well. They seemed to be able to insight into his heart, and did not promise anything, but said, "How long will it take? As soon as possible. You give me an accurate time." 100,000 years. Jian Wushuang gritted his teeth. This time, it is the fastest. If there is a steady supply of all things power in his body, he will be able to help Fuigo recover to his peak combat power in 100,000 years. As for the injury of the gods, he has already seen it, and he will be able to understand the other party in 10 years. Okay. The smiled with joy. Jian Wushuang didn't want to procrastinate. He didn't want to procrastinate. Naturally, the sooner the better. He has also been observing the inheritors in the Chishan temple. The strongest one already has half the power of the Lord of the universe, so he doesn't dare to drag on. The Frosa threw a mustard seed to Jian Wushuang and said, "These treasures are the treasures I have accumulated through searching countless epochs in the 4 secret realms. It should be enough. As for the extra, it's all yours." In countless epochs, there are countless treasures collected by the various forces of the Shadow Sect and the Keeman. Jian Wushuang took the mustard seeds, pierced in with a trace of thought power, and felt it. Although he was quite knowledgeable, he was taken aback. The treasures in it have surpassed his imagination. Among them, there are not many particularly precious treasures. Most of them are the original treasures useful to the emperor, but when they are put together, the value can be great. These treasures are enough to cultivate countless emperors and powerful people, and can even feed the entire northern realm. It can be seen how valuable it is. These treasures are indeed enough, and more. Of course, no one would think that he has too many treasures. It's just that the spirit of the gods is different from his vision. What the gods desire is freedom. And once they are truly liberated, these treasures will not even be counted as a hair. You can start. Fuigo was already a little impatient, and he was even more eager to go out. Jian Wushuang was not talking nonsense either, nodded while devouring countless treasures, while injecting massive life force into the big formation. 100,000 years. For them, like the strong, it was just a blink of an eye. It's just a pity that Jian Wushuang couldn't be distracted from his cultivation in these 100,000 years. He didn't have time to comprehend Nie Yuan's inheritance. However, he is very close to the 9th level of ultimate swordsmanship. As long as he goes out for a little insight and creates a pinnacle, he will be able to step into the 9th level. Both Kendo and Jaido have a perfect posture. Hadao is imminent. Jian Wushuang took a long breath and said in his heart, "I hope everything goes well." For Fuigo and others, all this is very fast, but for him, these 100,000 years have not been so easy. Of course, there is the true spirit of the outside world, who is as anxious as him. 100 years after Jian Wushuang suddenly disappeared from the mysterious emperors, the gods personally went to the northern realm. At this time, the mine has been restored to its original condition. The guards outside the entrance of Qianquan Cave are also much tighter than before. After the previous lesson, The Senate palace had to pay attention to it. Although there is a high probability that no one will break in again, you still have to behave on the surface. Otherwise, you will be ridiculed by the people of the temple and inaction. When the true spirit comes, no one notices it, as if the true spirit cannot be seen. The guards still stood in place, without knowing that there was a powerful existence just now, and walked in. Space. Zhenling gritted his teeth and frowned. The origin of his space has long reached the level of consummation, which is the cosmic space. At the beginning, the teleportation array was built in the cracks of space, and he saw the strangeness at a glance. Since others can build, he may also be able to build a teleportation formation based on some clues. It's just easy to get in, but difficult to get out. Even if he went in now and cut off Fuego and others, he couldn't get out by himself. What should I do? Although he couldn't get out of the Temple of Qixin. But if the real body was trapped in the first prison, it would be even more troublesome. Only relying on the clone could not sit in the Temple of the Qixin. There is still a god staring at the outside world. At the beginning, the god was able to enter the Temple of Qixin through the power of mind. Who knows if he can come in after getting out of trouble? It is true that he is the incarnation of the gods after the fall, but don't forget that God was once one of the origins of the gods. All of this may be possible. In case the magpie's nest is occupied by the dove, he will regret it too late. Except for him, no other person can be sent. Time goes backwards. The real spirit's figure began to dim, and his body entered a pavilion. It is the pavilion in the Sea of Origin. The space where the teleportation array had been established began to twist and change, and everything was turning. The battle of 100 years ago is vivid, and everything is in the eyes of the real spirit. He fiddled with time casually, as if everything was 100 years ago. Seeing everything when it happened, Zhenling's eyes shrank, especially the scene when Nye Yuan broke out. He was surprised. Starry sky, that sword. Open the mountain with one sword and kill all enemies in front of you. It's a pity. Zhenling sighed. The loss of such a talent is also a big loss. If it is cultivated, it will not be weaker than those ultimate emperors. Chapter 55. Can't wait. Zhenling pointed out his finger. The space returned to its original appearance, and his figure disappeared in place. He dared not wait any longer. Now I have to solve all this. If the real body can't go, then you have to go to a law body to see it. If it didn't work, he would seriously hurt that first. Although separated by countless spaces, even the first prison was originally a complete universe. It was a cosmic space independent of the origin of the gods. With the strength of his real body, he could still severely wound the gods. But in this way, treating the symptoms rather than the root cause might make the dog jump the wall in a hurry. So he had to go in and take a look to see how far things have progressed. He knew the power of life in Jian Wushuang's body, and he was afraid that it would not take a few epochs to restore Fuego's strength to its peak. Fuego, at the pinnacle, is not weak. When the opponent was suppressed, a divine lord was dispatched. The strength of that divine lord was able to rank in the top 3 in the original time and space. The so-called Three Kings Court of the Pinnacle Force is like a piece of white paper in front of the divine lord, which can be broken easily. Lord of the universe. Zhenling blinked. There is also a big difference in strength among the masters of the universe, and the level division is similar to that of the emperor. The weak ones are even invincible. The strength of Jiuyun was not weaker than those of the masters of the universe. Powerful, but also very against the sky, such as the gods, and the 3 major gods. However, the Qixin's strength was enough to disregard all the masters of the universe in Morwo's time and space, and he was regarded as the first-class powerhouse. Even if the three major gods are added together to fight against the gods, it is only a matter of thought. Tyr, the space was torn out, and when it reappeared, it had already reached another space. The sky here is dim, there is no sun or too overcast. The operation of the space is also very wonderful. This place is not the space where the universe was born and evolved, but was created artificially. Xuanwu Temple, in the seventh world. As soon as the true spirit descended, Xianyi felt it, and at the same time frowned. He also knew a little about what happened in the four secret realms, and knew the seriousness of the matter. "My lord, do you need help from your subordinates?" Xianyi didn't make any further detours this time, and went straight to the subject. Zhenling is not hypocritical, standing side by side with Xianyi standing on the top of a towering mountain overlooking the entire world. This place is the seventh world of Xuanwu Temple, very vast, no smaller than the heavens. It's just that there is no living person here, or there is no practitioner. All puppets. But these puppets are like people. At a glance, although the environment here is different in the four secret realms, the puppets everywhere are just like the practitioners in the four secret realms. "I'm going to the first prison," Xianyi said in surprise. "My lord, you can't come back if you go." The first prison is one way, and the four main hall masters all know this. If they don't go, they will come out within 3 epochs. Then who will stop Fuigo? Zhenling turned his head and looked at Xianyi. Fuigo's strength can destroy the 3 kings. Although his strength is not as good as the Divine Lord, it is not much worse. He did have the strength to block, but it was just blocking it. What if the other party vandalizes in the Temple of Qixin? So he must enter the first prison. Whether it's the avatar or the real body, you should go in and take a look. Xianyi lowered his head and sighed. "My lord, what are you going to do?" "This is the end of the matter. There is no other way. You can only go in and have a look. Don't worry too much. The Temple of Fortune God is really going to end. Maybe you are really free, right?" There is something in the truth, and there are some dissatisfaction. Xianyi was indeed a little cautious. In the unlikely event that the Divine Temple is really over, Xianyi took the Xuanwu Temple and patted his and left. The current Xianyi is no different from a cultivator, and this point is incomparable to several other palace masters and even true spirits. The true spirit couldn't even go out, and the other hall masters couldn't practice. But Xianyi was different. He had the transformation of that senior at the time, and he was no different from a cultivator. "My lord, I was originally created by the god of Qi, and I am a little moved with the temple of the god of Qi." Xianyi was a little moved. He had moved with these thoughts, but the temple of the god of Qi was his home after all. He is not willing to give up easily. Zhenling shook his head and said, "In fact, it's pretty good. I have to leave some back for the Qixin Temple. I don't blame you." In the event of an emergency, he even entrusted some things to Xianyi. "This time, I am coming to you and need you to do me a favor. Don't worry about treating you badly." Xianyi hurriedly bowed and said, "If you need anything, just speak up. The subordinates have nothing to say." Normally, the true spirit always said one thing, but now that he is in this posture, what he can say must be his full support. "I want you to expeditiously help me refine a law body puppet, a puppet with the main power of the universe," Zhenling said. Xianyi was stunned. It was not easy to have the power of the master of the universe, and the cost was higher than the cost of cultivating a master of the universe. Under normal circumstances, no one will do this. It is too wasteful. How long does it take? Nothing else. Now, the important thing is time. Xianyi thought for a while and said, 100 years. It is said that it is 100 years, but it is actually the fastest time to accelerate. The real time maybe hundreds of millions of years. Zhenling nodded and said, "All I need is the carrier. I will release the treasure. The sooner the better." After handing a mustard seed to Xian Yi, the true spirit did not stay much longer and left the place directly. He has other things to arrange. Since a law body is dispatched, the combat power can be raised to the level of the master of the universe at most, and some helpers are needed. Ordinary Jupin naturally couldn't get into his eyes. Holy Grave. This place is the most mysterious place in the Temple of Qixin, and it is also the place with the most powerful people. Although the place is sparsely populated, the strong ones that can be born are all strong. In the special life, under the accumulation of countless epochs, several extremely strong men were born, and these strong men were different from those who practiced. These special lives, a Khonshu. Kham is a part of the origin of the gods, and there is no origin in itself. Some are just tyrannical divine bodies, so naturally they don't have any defects. In the deepest part of the secret realm of the Tomb of the Gods, there is a purple water pool, and below the water pool is a formation. Since the passage between the secret realms was opened, those special beings who were against the sky were suppressed here. Among these powerful special beings, any one person can sweep across the world. In the heavens, the strongest aboriginal emperor is nothing but the pinnacle, the Mahayana realm of the cosmic secret method. In comparison, they were similar to those of the palace masters in the Yuan Lao Palace, far from reaching the level of Guangmu. And the special beings at the highest level suppressed here each have the strength of the Guangmu Tianzuan. Even some of them are comparable to Wuzhua or Mayan God General. Chapter 55-56, Barren. Under the Scarlet Formation. On a barren ground lie dozens of special beings with ugly appearances. Their faces are hideous, and their bodies are suppressed and swallowed by a force of power every moment. This feeling has tortured them for countless years. The true spirit came. These special beings who were tortured to exhaustion stood up one by one, gritted their teeth, and stared at the true spirit. It was this old man with white beard who suppressed them. Special beings born in heaven and earth are free and powerful creatures. How willing to be imprisoned here? So they hate and fear the true spirit very much. After all, you can suppress all of them here at will, and the strength has surpassed them too much. Although fearful, there is no fear in his heart, and even a strong will to fight. Damn it! A special being with a threaded horn on his head stared at the true spirit fiercely. The other special beings also gathered around one after another, staring at the true spirit as well. Zhenling glanced around and said with a smile, "These years, I still haven't changed the bad temper from you." In fact, the suppression didn't last long. Only a few million years had passed since the opening of the Temple of Qixin. For these wanton and special life, they can't stay for a moment. Humph! In waiting for the born god of war, who was walking in the tomb of the gods. Would you dare to imprison me without fear of the rules of this world? The true spirit didn't care about it. He controlled the rules of this world. What was he afraid of? Thanks, Tusk, you elm bumps, really stubborn. Zhenling shook his head. At the very beginning, he was still preparing to subdue these special beings. After all, his strength was not weak, and he was much stronger than the wastes of the Senate Palace. But this bad temper caused him a headache, so he was suppressed here. Zhenling didn't bother to talk nonsense with these special beings and said straight to the point, "Don't you want to go out? Now, there is a chance." When these special beings heard that they could go out, their eyes flashed golden light, and they leaned in again. The special life that took the lead changed his complexion, and was also very tempted, but he knew that the other party's methods were special and very treacherous. Some couldn't believe it, so he retorted, "Why should we trust you? The true spirit is disdainful. These big idiots, who else can they believe if they don't believe him? The Temple of Qixin is what he said, and without his orders, these special lives would be permanently suppressed. in the tomb of the gods. Any special life whose strength is out of control will be suppressed. Humph, Zhenling said coldly. If you don't believe it, just stay here forever. After speaking, he pretended to leave. Those special beings suddenly became anxious, and several special beings with not weakened strength stood up and stopped the true spirit. Of course, they are not trying to attack the real spirit, but curiously asked, the opportunity you mentioned is not to let me wait and surrender you? Not all. It's just that this request will be a bit dangerous. If you are afraid, just forget it. Zhenling said casually, and continued to move forward. The strongest special beings whispered to each other and began to calculate. As long as it is not surrender, they have nothing unacceptable. As for fear, is there a special life born against the sky, which one would be afraid of? Even if a powerful person like the true spirit comes in person, they are not afraid. Good. We promise you. The special beings that have been discussed have spoken one after another. True Spirit smiled secretly in his heart. These special beings were still so mindless. Compared to the Chishui walker on the Tomb God Mountain, these special beings here are like a group of children. The True Spirit leaked a smile and said, That's right, you are the strongest beings in the four secret realms. How can you be afraid of death? With that, he looked at the special beings who were hesitant in the corner. Hearing these words, the other special beings gritted their teeth and stood up. 72 special beings all agreed. Zhenling also said the request. He is not afraid of these special beings repenting. What these special beings value most is their face and dignity. Half-stepped the Lord of the Universe. After hearing Zhenling's request, they all leaked a trace of warfare. In the face of a powerful enemy, there is no fear, but the fighting spirit is boiling. Staying in the tomb of the gods, they have never encountered a powerful cultivator. The strongest is the 13 guardians. Their strength is not particularly strong, but there is a certain kind of treasure that can specifically suppress them. Now, I heard that the true spirit would take them to kill the 2 half-step universe masters, and my heart was very excited. As long as this matter is successful, I can not only return you to freedom, you can freely travel through the 4 secret realms in the future, and I will not bother you as long as it is not a mass murder. I will not care about killing and killing at will. Zhenling was a little worried that these people's special lives would not work hard, and then released a huge temptation. As soon as I heard that after success, I was able to travel through the 4 secret realms, and these special beings were even more yearning. They have stayed in the tomb of the gods, and don't know how many epochs. They have lived in the tomb of the gods since their birth, and the boundary wall was broken. They just went out and caught them back. They were suppressed before going to the other 3 secret realms. In this place, the bottom of my heart is very unwilling. Now, the true spirit promises that in the future, he can travel through the 4 secret realms at will, and one after another leaks joy. These special beings, the various divine bodies, are more than 60,000 times the existence. The strongest one is already 80,000 times the body, which is stronger than the dragon god, already comparable to Yun's Hongjin. I really want to give them freedom. I am afraid that the 4 secret realms will be messed up. The true spirits are so cunning, but they never thought of giving them freedom. He will take these special lives to the first prison. Of course, his real body will not go. If you go to the real body, you don't need the help of these special beings. He wants to use Xuanwu Hall to give him a refining clone to go. Although the clone refining from Xuanwu Temple is alone in time and space, after all, it is not as powerful as the real body and still needs some helpers. These special beings are the best helpers. Do not say that each strength is tyrannical, is also full of fighting spirit. At least he wouldn't dare to go paddling like those in Wuzhua. By then, regardless of success or failure, they will be permanently trapped in the first prison. Once and for all. Don't worry about these people anymore. I really wanted to give them freedom, but on the contrary, it left another evil for myself. Regardless of the simple minds of these special beings, they can be harmed, and no one can cure them. When the time comes, the White Tiger Palace will have to poke his spine. The chaos in the realm now is enough to make the White Tiger Palace a headache. In the future, these special beings will enter the realm again, and it will really be a mess in the world. And apart from the true spirit and several hall masters and generals, no one can shake the special beings of the master. Chapter 55-57. After negotiating the conditions, Zhan Ling directly withdrew the formation from this place. 100 years will pass in the blink of an eye. The first prison, Jian Wushuang, and the others did not discover the real spirit's movements. Especially the Frosa, not even watching the four secret realms, just instructs the practitioners who are bewitched by him to make trouble in the realm and attract attention. For 100 years, Jian Wushuang hasn't stopped for a moment, and Fuigo's strength has begun to rise. Jian Wushuang lowered his eyes and looked at Fuigo unscrupulously. Anyway, the opponent didn't have any reservations. Not only could he feel the opponent's strength, but he could also clearly see the origin. That is, a colorful origin, a perfect space origin, very solid, that is the cosmic space. There is also a narrow source, the source of time. Tao monarch masters the source of mastery, such as Jian Wushuang's ultimate kendo and ultimate kendo. After integrating the essence of major training into the space, he will be the emperor, and he will also cultivate the essence of space. Although he can now cultivate the essence of space, he has not merged the kendo and the extreme way into the origin of space. The stronger the origin of his space now, the smoother the harmony will be in the future. However, it is very slow and difficult to cultivate the origin of space in the posture of a Taoist monarch, and it is impossible to reach a higher realm. Just like now, he has mastered 99% of the black hole, and he still can't take that step. If he stepped into the Emperor, he might be able to master the black hole realm in an instant, or even reach the peak of the black hole quickly. But now it is Dao Jun, but it is binding him. The Emperor corresponds to space, and the Lord of the Universe corresponds to time. The prerequisite for becoming the master of the universe is to cultivate the origin of space to completion. When you are a prince, the source of cultivation is to be able to unite without consummation, but when you reach the Emperor, you need spatial consummation. Condensing space into the universe without reaching this point, it will not be possible to impact the Lord of the Universe. After becoming the master of the universe, what you cultivate is still the origin, but the origin of a higher level, the origin of time. That is the even more incredible source, mastering the time of the universe. Space and time are the two peak origins. Mastering the complete origin of the universe is the master of the universe. What if we master the complete origin of time? Jian Wushuang thought in his heart. He knew very little about the Lord of the Universe, and he had a lot of doubts in his heart. After becoming the master of the universe, he will master a trace of the origin of time, which he knows, but he wants to cultivate the origin of time to perfection, and he dare not guess too much about it. Time, one of the strongest rules. I am afraid that only the Lord of the Universe will know. Just cultivating the space to consummation is eligible to enter the ranks of the masters of the universe. If you cultivate both to consummation and then merge them into one, what will happen? What level will that be? After observing the origin of Fuigo, he has a lot of curiosity in his heart. One is because in the Three Kings ruins, he met Teacher Xian Yi, and he wanted to know exactly what kind of existence Teacher Xian Yi was. The least strength is the master level of the universe, and it will be stronger. The chessboard left to him was the treasure of time and space. Moruo was so powerful that there were only a few pieces. He never expected that teacher Xian Yi's shot would be a treasure of time and space. When I was in other realms, the things I gave were very special, but compared to the present, they were all strange things, not precious. But now it's different. He felt that he was very close to the secret of teacher Xian Yi at the beginning. He was deliberately cultivated. Why? All of this needs an explanation. The closer he got, the more doubtful he was in his heart. Also, does the experience of the starry sky have something to do with teacher Xian Yi? Jian Wushuang shook his head lightly. This may not have much connection, but the Temple of Qixin definitely has some connection with teacher Xuani. Even the first true king at the time could not be regarded as a disciple. The Guantian chessboard was also sent to him by the opponent's hand. All these plans were too big. The opponent is the first true king among the three kings, the powerhouse of the Lord of the Universe. This won't be in Xian Yi's eyes. The in the distance found that Jian Wushuang's thought power had weakened slightly, opened his eyes, and looked at Jian Wushuang. Why, something on my mind. Godfrosa said calmly. He takes Jian Wushuang very seriously. If he could escape from the Temple of Qixin smoothly this time, he wouldn't mind taking Jian Wushuang with him. With Jian Wushuang's life force, it is very helpful for him to stand firm in other time and space. The Lord of the Universe is very powerful. Especially Fuego has reached the pinnacle of the Lord of the Universe. No matter where he goes, he is the overlord of one party. But this is far from enough. To rule a time and space, the strength needed is at least the existence of the gods. To that level, the two of them still have a long way to go. Jian Wushuang was a little surprised when he heard the gods take the initiative to speak. He didn't expect this to be very indifferent to this day. According to common sense, this is not the most urgent moment, and there is still this heart that cares about him. This made him a little flattered. At the same time, he also began to worry about the conspiracy in his heart. Although he is a fish now, even if the opponent recovers his strength, it is estimated that he will not be treated like him. After all, his life force is very special, no matter who it is. It is of great use. Jian Wushuang groaned for a while, and then also said the doubts in his heart. The Frosa leaked a smile after listening. He didn't conceal anything about this question. The Lord of the Universe, although he didn't see much, had far less experience than Fuego's earlier born giants, but he knew something based on inherited memory. The Lord of the Universe is actually not as strong as you think, or it is very common in other time and space, very common. Hearing this sentence, Jian Wushuang was stunned for a moment, and then he understood. The vision of the two is different. The other is born as the master of the universe. Not to mention the mortal stage. Even mastering the Tao is innate, directly crossing countless levels and reaching the top in their eyes. But in the eyes of the gods, it is just the beginning. In this way, for the giants, the Lord of the Universe is indeed very simple and ordinary. My lord, are you innately consummated? Jian Wushuang asked in confusion. He was very skeptical. The natural space is consummated. Shouldn't it be the natural king of beast gods? If the universe is not complete, how can one be born as the Lord of the Universe? The Frosa said indifferently, actually, it's not all. Judging by the realm of your practitioners, you really need space to reach the master of the universe. But don't forget that the giant tribe is not a practitioner. Speaking of this, Frosa's eyes exuded a proud king's breath. Chapter 55-58. The giant clan is the most powerful creature in the starry sky. Those so-called natural beast gods are only bred in time and space, and our giant clan is the most perfect creature bred in the starry sky, and it is also the number one in the entire starry sky. An ethnic group. This is not an exaggeration. there are only a few natural beast gods, and they are transformed according to all things in time and space, just so few, and it can't reproduce. This is the most important point, but the giant clan is different. Not only can it reproduce, but it also has inherited memory that the beast does not have. That is the real way, Bao. In addition to these giants who descended in the long river of time and space, there are also some powerful giants who were born in the starry sky. Swim in the endless starry sky. That is the real strong, as space and time can be wiped out at the fingertips. Jian Wushuang was shocked. He never expected that there would be such a powerful ethnic group in the starry sky. Frosa looked at Jian Wushuang and comforted, "You don't need to worry about it. You can master the power of life. You are rarer than the Titans. The Lord of the universe is just the beginning. You have a long way to go. The power of life, that is the magical power that can create all things, no matter how powerful the giant clan is, it is one of life after all. No matter how strong it is, can it escape from all things in life? Even the special beings that defy the sky are all beings given away by the origin of the universe. Unless it is a powerful will-type race, it can give up the power of life. But this kind of ethnic group either died prematurely or just lacked in strength. Whether it's the universe, time, space, or starry sky, they all love life. This is the #1 rule. No way to change. In this way, Jian Wushuang is really hopeful, standing at the pinnacle of this starry sky. But since he knew that Nie Yuan was able to enter the starry sky, Jian Wushuang didn't dare to belittle himself. In the past, he thought that he was the choice of heaven, but now he doesn't look at it like that. Can't be careless. My lord is joking. I'm just a Taoist monarch, and now it's a catastrophe for me to be together. How dare I look at the Lord of the universe? Jian Wushuang said modestly. When the Frosa heard the catastrophe, his face changed, and then he smiled and said, "You are right. The catastrophe should not be underestimated. Even the Lord of the universe will fall under every catastrophe, not to mention you little guys." Regarding the information of the Lord of the universe, Jian Wushuang was very sensitive. Hearing the divine spirit mention it, he hurriedly asked, "The catastrophe that the Lord of the universe will fall? You don't think that the Lord of the universe will not fall?" Jian Wushuang shook his head and said, "Is it true? I'm just curious about what kind of catastrophe the Lord of the universe will encounter. Could it be caused by some fighting? Let's tell you this. There were a lot of cosmos lords in the Temple of the Gods where you were located. You should know that the strongest god of gods is very powerful, even if compared to some of the ancestors in my inherited memory. They are all powerful and against the sky. They can suppress a time and space with their own power, but even so powerful, he has fallen under his own calamity." The said very moved. Although he was suppressed by the gods, he still admired the strength of the gods from the bottom of my heart. After all, it is a strong man who can compare favorably with the super strong in the giant clan. Is it man-made, or is it a catastrophe under the rules? Jian Wushuang felt incredible. The gods have fallen, but their inheritors did not know why they fell. Regarding the fall of the gods, the first true king didn't say much. In fact, he has always guessed and even thought of what happened to His Royal Highness Mayan. On the single-plank bridge, he saw the gods, but he didn't see his face clearly, but the other person's tone was full of resentment, and also broke his own origin. It will be swallowed together, and alive withdrawn from the origin of the space. This is a means of self-defeating strength. The Frosa, with a reminiscence in his eyes, said in a serious tone, "It is the original consciousness of the starry sky." As soon as the voice fell, it seemed as if a pair of invisible eyes descended, staring at the first prison. The other people didn't feel that feeling, but the two people who were talking felt it. The origin of consciousness of the starry sky. That is a powerful consciousness that is several levels higher than the original consciousness of the universe. The primitive universe has an original consciousness, and the domain also has an innate original Tao. When the domain is controlled by the emperor, the original consciousness will return to the origin of the universe, and the original consciousness of the universe will be controlled by the master of the universe, and the original consciousness of the universe will return to the origin of time and space. Above time and space is the original consciousness of the starry sky. That is the true pinnacle. Although there was in awe and felt the coming of that consciousness, he was not worried. He might be worried about the original consciousness of the universe, but the consciousness of the starry sky cannot interfere with them. This is recorded in the memory of the inheritors. The superpowers of their giants once dared to provoke the starry sky consciousness. Nothing happened. Although it was okay, the gods did not have the guts to provoke. After all, he was not a super strong. With that time really, he might try one or two. You can feel it. The found Jian Wushuang sweating on his forehead, as if being suppressed by something. Jian Wushuang nodded without answering. He couldn't wear it. That consciousness seemed to stand on top of his head, and his breathing was a little unstable when pressed, and the life force in his body was also extremely boiling. Snatcher! Jian Wushuang's eyes suddenly shrank, and a voice rang in his mind. And he seemed to be out of the space here, even out of the original time. Just a few words, let him be like this. The feeling of fear made his mood instantly broken. Call. In an instant, he recovered again, panting heavily, and the cold sweat on his forehead instantly urged. You are a Taoist monarch. You can actually sense the starry sky consciousness. The god's eyes were almost bursting, and he stared at Jian Wushuang in disbelief. His tone was very surprised. Jian Wushuang was a little confused. Could only the Lord of the universe be able to sense it? Think about it again. That's right. He is a Taoist monarch, and he doesn't even understand time. The strange consciousness of the starry sky above time and space. Akanshu, come, how could he feel it? And he also heard a strange voice. Stealer. Jian Wushuang was worried secretly in his heart. What is a thief? It's actually a thief. Is he a thief? Yes. Not really. The power of life belongs to life or not. This is a false proposition. No one can say the exact answer. Even the gods say that few master the power of life. The other party has the memory of the inheritor, which is equivalent to the knowledge of the entire giant clan. End of this chapter. Chapter 55, 59. Even the other party said it was very rare. I am afraid that he alone has the power of life in their time and space. There are not many people in the entire starry sky. The life force, one-sidedly speaking, is given by the parents. In the bigger picture, it is bestowed by the universe. But he has this ability. Are you a thief? Stealing the life force bestowed by the starry sky consciousness. No, Jian Wushuang was determined in his heart. It's not just talking about it. In the mundane small world, the opposite is a small world. He did it, otherwise it would not be possible to go to this day. Now, in the universe, going against the sky is reversing the original consciousness of the universe. At this point, he didn't know whether he had done it or not. Now a starry consciousness suddenly appeared, saying that he was a thief, and he was very resentful. Could it be that he has just turned the sky over in one step? Jian Wushuang found it incredible, and the gods also found it incredible. It is good for a Taoist to feel the origin consciousness of the realm. Generally, when he is a Taoist, he is considered to be a Taoist against the heavens after being recognized by the origin of the space. Further up, it is the original consciousness of the universe, which can only be peeped by the emperor. But now Jian Wushuang a Taoist monarch, can actually attract the attention of the starry sky consciousness, how many levels the opponent has crossed? Is it because of the power of life? He is also very puzzled. According to some information in the inheritance memory, he has a comprehensive understanding of the power of life. There once appeared a powerful existence in the starry sky that mastered the power of life, and that existence opened up a long river of life. Time and space are isolated there. No one can find it. Only later, someone discovered a dilapidated ancient river, and their giants also sent some strong men to explore it, and finally determined that it was the legendary river of life. As for where the super strong man who mastered the power of life went, I don't know, but this legend has been circulating for a long time. Many people think that the existence has not yet fallen, but the river of life created by the other party has withered. If it hadn't fallen, where would it go? Looking at Jian Wushuang now, Zhenling has some fear. He even shook his idea of taking Jian Wushuang away. All practitioners who go against the sky are a curse, and wherever they go, they are a curse. Maybe that day he will even fall. Master God, this starry sky consciousness. Jian Wushuang wanted to ask, but was stopped by the gods. The Frosa squeezed the palm of his hand and said, Don't mention this matter again. When you become stronger, you will know it. I'll tell you about the Lord of the universe. Anyway, boring, the two began to chat. The master of the universe is said to be the master of the universe, but it is not that simple to master a universe. Just like some weaker emperors, you need a second-tier emperor if you want to master the lower realm. The middle world needs a third-order emperor. The higher world needs a fourth-order emperor. The Lord of the universe is the same. When you first enter the realm of the master of the universe, it is not that simple to master a primitive universe. To be precise, before mastering the universe, one cannot be called the Lord of the universe. After all, if you don't even have a grasp of the universe, there is no such thing as the Lord of the universe. In fact, the Lord of the universe is just a title. Above the emperor, it is the robbery realm. The robbery is divided into 9 calamities. Only after completing the first 3 calamities can you be qualified to control the universe. However, there are very few strong people who can survive the first 3 calamities. Many experts in the tribulation realm will suppress their own strength when they are not sure of crossing the tribulation. Jian Wushuang was a little emotional. It turned out that there was nothing good at the peak of the universe. If those emperors knew it, they wouldn't be so yearning. After all, the emperor, but there is no disaster, especially the most powerful. The mood is perfect and immortal. Becoming a catastrophe is in danger of falling. However, there was a doubt in Jian Wushuang's heart. If he suppressed his strength and didn't go to the catastrophe, wouldn't it be enough to wait until his strength was enough? But when he said it, the gods laughed. It's really that simple. It won't be the tribulation realm. The time for suppression is limited. No one can win the tribulation when the tribulation comes. At the beginning, the strong people such as the gods and the superpowers in our clan did not who can do it? According to your practitioners, it is impossible to escape. That has nothing to do with Jian Wushuang's innocence, but just explained with a smile. Jian Wushuang also laughed. He didn't know how he could say such a stupid method. It was so simple, and the gods would not fall. The spirit said quietly, However, everything has a ray of life. If you can't get through or suppress it, someone will cut off your roots. In this way, there is no hope of further improvement, but you can also live a happy life. It is very common in some powerful time-space long rivers. Otherwise, the powerhouse of the tribulation realm would have died early. That said, at the beginning, the god of Chisho killed the devouring origin because it was not sure to cross the catastrophe. Jian Wushuang was a little surprised, but also some loss. The strong people like Qixin all cut their roots. This is too difficult for those practitioners on the road to the strong. I am afraid that most people will face death directly and are not willing to cut off their roots. When the heard it, he shook his head and said without hesitation, "You guessed wrong. The of disbelief originally cut off his origin. Although I don't know why it was because of it, in the end he fell to his own master. Under the robbery. When I was suppressed here at the beginning, there were some experts in the calamity realm who said that if the gods do not cut off their devouring origin, they can't overcome the calamity at all, so they will cut the devouring origin first, but only cut their own origin. Afterwards, it is a pity that Qixin's strength dropped sharply and eventually fell. The gods were a little bit sighed. Jian Wushuang was relieved. He respected Qixin from the bottom of his heart. If characters like Qixin were unable to face the catastrophe, his mood would be disturbed. Then he asked curiously, "Sir Shenling, don't you know how many catastrophes did the Qixin survive in the first place?" Fangshan fell in the 8th catastrophe. 8 tribulations. That is an insurmountable height. As long as a Khonshu, calm crosses over. The gods are the real time and space overlords, and they are all superpowers in the starry sky. Jian Wushuang's heart was shocked. He originally thought that God of God would fall in the 9th calamity, but he didn't expect it to be the 8th calamity. Don't underestimate the 8th calamity. The gods saw Jian Wushuang's thoughts and shouted, "Among the 9 calamities, the 3rd, 6th, and 9 calamities are all hacks. The Qixin can go to the 8th calamity. You can already look down upon the long river of time and space. If the of disbelief had cut off his own devouring origin, it might have passed by. Unfortunately, if you really want to become a powerhouse in the 8 tribulations realm, I am afraid that there will not be the Temple of Qixin today. But there is another point. Although the God of God failed to cross the tribulation, how did Morowa time and space be destroyed? Chapter 55:60. Sorcerer, you won't be distracted and mad, and you have to take the entire Morowa time and space to the funeral. Even the Frosa didn't know this, but I'm afraid he knew it too. Actually, the tribulation realm is not as bad as you think. After becoming a tribulation realm, after completing the first 3 tribulations, mastering a universe and becoming the master of the universe, it is of great help to one's own cultivation, and every tribulation is separated by time. There are countless epochs. There is enough time to deal with it. Becoming the Lord of the universe, the benefits are beyond words. The resources at your disposal are also different. You can cultivate families, sects, and strengths, and you can also build your own universe into a universe that nurtures treasures, relying on countless treasures to cultivate. That is a whole new level. After the first 3 catastrophes, everything will change qualitatively. After taking control of a universe, as long as it is not too unlucky, you can survive the 4th or even 5th calamity smoothly. But the 6th calamity is different. Even if it is supported by a universe, it will be difficult to get through it. The 3 kings back then and Fuego now are both powerful in the 5 tribulations realm. The 3 great masters of the Qixin Temple are the 6 tribulations realm powerhouses. In the entire Morowa time and space, there are a total of 4 6 tribulations realm powerhouses, 3 of whom have taken refuge in the Qixin. The Qixin is a powerhouse in the 7 tribulations realm. Naturally, countless people want to take refuge. It is not only a simple backer, but the most important thing is to get the guidance of the Qixin. This is the most important point. Jian Wushuang knew so much all at once and was constantly consuming it, and the road ahead seemed to be brighter again. His current combat power is about the 6th-tier peak. As long as he succeeds in joining the Tao, he will soon be able to reach the top. In fact, it is not very far from the Lord of the Universe. Naturally, you need to know a little more. During the conversation between the 2, 100 years passed without knowing it, and the powerhouse gathered by the true spirits is also ready to come quietly. It's just that the two of them don't know it all. In the huge formation, hundreds of strong men sat cross-legged above each formation eye. The three people at the core are opposite each other, Jian Wushuang, the Frosa, and Fuigo. The world suddenly began to tremble, and a powerful breath was coming. That breath came from underground. It may break out at any time. The face of the changed drastically, and he had a bad feeling in his heart. This place is one way. He knows this better than the real spirit. The other party can't ignore him and come here in person. As long as he is not the real body, he can block the opponent. But now that breath is gradually rising, and the power has soared to the tribulation stage. Over the years, Jian Wushuang has been recovering from his injuries in Waifiego. Although the injury of the gods is not deep, it only takes a few years, but he is not in a hurry. Now it is still half a step in the battle power of the robbery realm. Although Fuigo only eased his injury, his strength did not improve too much, and now a sense of catastrophe suddenly appeared, and it was difficult for anyone to resist. I am afraid that the two of them are not very sure about joining hands. In this way, not only is time wasted, but it is also likely to be delayed. You stay here, I will go alone. That was cruel and didn't let Jian Wushuang stop. He was incarnate as a golden dragon on his body and rushed out of the big formation. Countless cracks began to appear on the dim ground. That breath is just underground. Boom! Countless fragments of dust fly up, said to be dust, but each piece is like a huge mountain. The main body of the underground breath of the master can be imagined how huge it is. When he saw the incoming person, his eyes shrank, and he said in shock, "Is it you?" The person who came is not the true spirit. If it is the true spirit, he would not be so shocked unless the true body of the true spirit comes. Jie, there was a strange laughter, and Jian Wushuang's scalp numbed a long distance. Across the big formation, Jian Wushuang could only vaguely see the silhouette of the other side. It was a huge humanoid beast with a towering body, like a world. A huge tail was wagging. Recognized the powerhouse of the robbery realm in front of him, and he sighed with relief. He was afraid that he would not know the other party, and would deal with them as soon as he came. "Zhuangzhong." The Frosa let out a smile and calmly said, "You are still alive." Seeing Frosa, the behemoth slowly shrank, but it was still 10,000 times in size, facing the gods far away, and said coldly, "You are not dead. This bug. How could this seat fall? Bed bugs." These two words pierced into the heart of the gods, fiercely. He was a proud giant, and was called a bug. If it weren't for being here, he would have died 100 times, and it would not be enough to quell the hatred in his heart. The other party was nothing but a small, ancient, desolate beast in the realm of a catastrophe. In Morowa time and space, it is the lowest level. This kind of ants dare to taunt him, which makes Frosa very angry, but anger returns to anger. Now, the overall situation is more important and can't anger the other party. Brother Zhuangzhong was joking. "I was just a fluke." The god's complexion was distorted, and he had to bow his head. The opponent's strength is far superior to him. After all, it is a real calamity realm power. Zhuangzhong was a little surprised. In the past, when Frosa was said to be a bug, the other party wanted to jump and go desperately. How can he talk so well now? He tilted his head and looked behind Frosa, leaked a sneer. "I thought you were silly by being locked up here, and you have lost your temper at all. It turns out that you have another plan," Zhuangzhong said, stepping forward to the big formation. That was anxious and quickly blocked the way. Man Shan couldn't get past, and now he can only rely on his deceptive means to hold the opponent. "Brother Zhuangzhong, Don't you want to leave this place? Zhuangzhong shook his head and only said 2 words, "Get out of the way." The voice is very cold. There is no room for negotiation. The gods once again persuaded, "I know where your magic clock is." This time the opponent paused, but it was only for a moment, and then continued to approach the big formation. Seeing the persuasion not to move, the face of the gods also became cold, the light on his body instantly skyrocketed, and his breath continued to rise. That breath has surpassed those gods, and is even stronger than the 4 great hall masters. Half-step robbery. It is not to be underestimated. After all, it is not an absolute top. You want to stop me? Zhuangzhong sneered. Then I want to go. He likes things that are bad for others the most. Anyway, there is no way to go out here. Back then, even the 5 tribulations, realm powerhouses, were suppressed here. He really didn't believe that Frosa could get out. That big formation might have other effects. He just got out of trouble, but he was curious about what he was doing. Zhuangzhong, I don't know why you are still alive, but today you can't think of doing anything wrong with me. Frosa yelled, and a huge force burst out from his mouth and went straight to Zhuangzhong. The huge energy illuminates the entire first prison. Zhuangzhong felt a threat. When he turned his head, a hot light shone on his face, with an incredible expression in his eyes. End of this chapter. Chapter 55, 61, boom. Zhuangzhong's physical body instantly turned into powder, and even his breath was wiped out. Wow! After the huge power tilted, Zhuangzhong relied on the trace of his remaining aura in the space to instantly restore his original shape, but his aura was weaker, obviously injured. Zhuangzhong was very shocked. The opponent's combat power was obviously only half a step, and it could actually hurt him. I dare not look down on each other. For a while, the Frosa panted heavily and stopped Zhuangzhong's path again. Your move just consumed 10% of his source. It's an injury for an injury. If you can't stop it, you can consume the opponent's strength as much as possible, and Fuigo will be able to deal with it. Do you need me to take action now? Fuigo was also paying attention, transmitting the voice to Frosa. He was really afraid that Frosa could not stop it. Jian Wushuang was also very entangled. At this time, this kind of thing happened, and I don't know if it is good or bad. If Fuigo does not regain his strength, he will never get out. But if he regained his strength, he was afraid that he would kill the donkey again. Frosa slowly shook his head, calmly, without a voice transmission, but said loudly, "Don't worry about me. Are you so confident?" Zhuangzhong was a little surprised. He was really bluffed by the Frosa. The move just now really hurt his origin, and he is now in a dilemma for a while. From the underground world, he also experienced many difficulties and dangers. At the beginning of the fall of the Qixin, the tribulation powers who were suppressed in the first prison were all suppressed deep underground, trapped in a furnace, and served as fuel for the temple of the Qixin. Now that he finally escaped, he didn't want to sail in the gutter as soon as he came out. Frosa saw the other party hesitate. His face slowly became cold, and this was in his arms. Although he didn't know how the other party was still alive, since the other party had just appeared, I'm afraid he wouldn't want to fight him hard. You can try. Zhuangzhong stared at Frosa and said with some uncertainty, "In that big formation, is the power of life exuding?" When he first came out, he hadn't cared about it. Now that he could feel the power of the big formation, he realized that the power contained in the big formation was actually the force of life. In ancient times, to obtain a large amount of life force, you need to spend countless sources of all things to refine. Today, the life force contained in that large array is extremely strong, and it seems that it is not refined by the power of all things, but from a person, the power within the practitioner. This surprised him very much. At the beginning, he didn't believe what Frosa said, but now he understands a little bit. In the big formation, There is still a breath. The power of that breath is similar to him. It is all in the robbery realm, and it seems not weak. Talk. Zhuangzhong put away the power on his body and looked at Frosa with a smile. Frosa was overjoyed and seemed to succeed. Of course you can talk, as long as you can hold the opponent. Once Fuego recovers his strength, he will kill the opponent. But before he could answer, the sky began to become gloomy and a huge vortex began to condense. This scene surprised both of them. Frosa had been prepared for a long time, and he knew that the true spirit must be unable to bear to come in. He didn't expect such a coincidence. He just got Zhuangzhong, and the opponent came. Zhuangzhong was a little confused about all this. The vortex slowly formed, and the power in it leaked out, and every trace was enough to make the Lord of the Universe fall. This is also the reason why this place is one way, and even the 5 tribulations realm cannot be broken. At the beginning, there was only one person who could open this place at will, and the rest could not open it. The 3 major gods cannot destroy this place. Call. In the depths of the whirlpool, a group of people faintly appeared. Jian Wushuang, the man who took the lead, was very familiar with him, and he was the true spirit. It's just that there is no change in his face, but the body has undergone earth-shaking changes. This is nothing. Behind the true spirit, dozens of special beings, each hideous and terrifying. The true spirit is here. At this moment, Jian Wushuang was embarrassed. Zhen Ling glared his small eyes and glanced around. It was self-evident that Jian Wushuang had completely rebelled. One person surprised him. Zhuangzhong. You. Zhuangzhong was also surprised. He didn't know the other party's direct lineage, but he could feel a familiar breath from the other party. That was the breath of ambivalence. After feeling this breath, Zhuangzhong quickly backed away. The deterrent power of Qixin was too shocking for someone like Zhuangzhong, who was strong in the 1 tribulation realm. Not to mention the gods. Even if he was the Lord of the Universe who had survived the first 3 kalpas, he would tremble when he saw it. No, Zhuangzhong reacted quickly. He could feel that the breath of true spirit was very similar to that of Qixin, but that breath was very weak, not much different from him, or even not as strong as him. Almost bluffed by the real spirit. Why are you here? True spirit didn't pay attention to Frosa, but asked why Zhuangzhong appeared here. Except for Frosa, the rest of the tribulation realm powerhouses were suppressed in purgatory and became part of the temple of Qixin. Why did Zhuangzhong suddenly appear here? Zhen Ling suddenly turned his head to look at Frosa. Frosa knew what the other party was thinking and didn't make any response. This time the situation has become a little confused. The appearance of Zhuangzhong disrupted their plans. Originally, the true spirit came to kill or hold Frosa and Fuego, the wants to live in peace, and it only takes 100,000 years before he can leave from here. The appearance of Zhuangzhong completely disrupted the situation. No matter which side you are on, there is a certainty of victory. If you help Frosa, then the clone of the true spirit will lose, and there is no possibility of winning. Even if the true spirit cannot be defeated now, it can still hold the true spirit. For the current Jian Wushuang, this couldn't be better. Not only can he go out, at least he won't be settled by the true spirit. But if Zhuangzhong turned against the water and stood on the side of the true spirit, it would be different. Not only would the great formation be broken, both Fuego and Frosa would fall. You reading www.okanshu.com. No matter whether the true spirit kills him or not, he can't leave this place. Wow. Jian Wushuang got up directly and stopped the big formation. Fuego also stood up, and now everyone except Zhuangzhong himself knows that life and death are in the hands of the other party. Zhen Ling's complexion slowed down. Instead of asking questions but leaking a smile, he said, Zhuangzhong, the first strongest of the Zhuang family. He was originally from the Three Kings Court, right? How do you know who you are? Zhuangzhong was very jealous of the true spirit. Although his strength is not as good as him, the aura of ambivalence can shock him. Seeing this situation, the gods quickly explained the true spirit's identity and the current situation of the Qixin temple. He was afraid that Zhuangzhong would be bluffed by the breath of the true spirit. Zhuangzhong's expression changed, and then he laughed wildly, with no fear in his heart. Chapter 55:62. Haha, I really didn't expect that one day I will become the dominant player, and even the dominant temple of the gods will be destroyed. Zhuangzhong was a little crazy. His strength was a small figure in the ancient times. Although he was also a strong man in the robbery realm, he was not even considered an ant for a character like the god of tribulation. At least he had mastered the tribulation realm of the universe to be able to enter the eyes of the gods. He was just a barren beast who had just entered the tribulation realm, and his family power was also very ordinary. The ancestor was just a strong man in the second tribulation realm, and he had a bit of a say in the court of the Three Kings, but on the side of the Qixin, there was nothing. Now that he can actually dominate the decline of the Temple of Fortune, how can this not make him crazy? God of God. Zhuangzhong gritted his teeth. When the Three Kings were annihilated, from the Temple of Qixin came, suppressed them all, and plundered them to the Temple of Qixin. He has never forgotten this hatred. Seeing the others' aura rising and being full of hostility, Zhanling's heart sank. This time the plan seems to be defeated. The Frosa was ecstatic in his heart. As long as the real spirit's law body was killed, everything was easy to say. He didn't believe that the true spirit dared to let his deity descend. If the deity came, he would recognize it, and it would be a big deal to be trapped here together. He bet Zhanling would not dare to do this. The inheritors have just risen, and the true spirit will not give up. No one in the outside world can provoke the beams of the Qixin temple. Once the true spirit is trapped here, the Qixin temple will have strong enemies on the outside and rebellion inside. He knew the god of the primordial universe, and the other party was still using his power to break the seal. That god's strength was not weak. At the beginning, it swallowed the avenue and turned into 3 gods. One of the gods was beaten to pieces and turned into 5 big demon masters, the mountain monarch of Moin Mountain, the 10,000 demons of Xuanwu Temple, and the blood demons next to the monarch in the cloud. There are 2 remaining, a wind demon controlled by the true spirit and a heart demon who has nowhere to go. Each has a half-step robbery realm combat power. Turned into 5 parts, they are all so powerful, and God's strength is even more terrifying. The God suppressed by the primitive universe has the power of the 5 tribulations at its peak. Just being injured by someone coupled with being suppressed. Now the 3 tribulations realm is considered good, but even so, it can threaten the Temple of Qixin. If the true spirit sits, it's okay. Without the true spirit, relying solely on the external defense of the Temple of Qi, I'm afraid it will be difficult to stop that god. So the real spirit dare not gamble. He dare not let the real body into this place. But without the real body coming, the current law body alone couldn't stop it. When Fuego returns to his peak, there may be some way to escape from this place. Otherwise, Frosa will not dare to let Fuego in rashly. Idiot! Zhanling shouted angrily, staring at Zhuangzhong, and cursed, "What are you? I will kill you first today." The real spirit is not talking nonsense. Just shoot directly. The black brilliance flashed on his body, and a whole set of cosmic treasures exploded with power, from the armor on his body to the amazing power on all sides, all exuding dazzling light. It's just that the light is different from white sunlight, but black light. Zhenling shot right in Frosa's arms, sitting on the mountain and watching the tigers fight. Zhuangzhong shouted angrily, swelling up likewise, turning into a barren beast covering the sky and the sun. Black Yaojing Light Lake. In the face of such a powerful treasure, Zhuangzhong did not flinch. As he said, he is now in charge of everything. With a blow in the face, a humming sound from the ancient times rang, and the wild beast living in the darkness fought with the true spirit. What everyone sees is enthusiasm. This is the powerhouse of the robbery realm. Jian Wushuang was equally shocked. Although the god said that the robbery was worthless, but the breath of the opponent's body made him very yearning. He is a Taoist monarch. In this kind of battle, I am afraid that he can't survive for a while, and a random wave of air can crush him. Go, kill them! The turned his head and pointed at the people in the large array in the distance, and said to the special beings behind him, "Don't keep any of them." Those who are particularly strong in life have long been gearing their hands and can't stand it any longer. Hearing the words of the real spirit, they immediately set off. With dozens of special beings with outstanding combat power, the Frosa frowned. It would be nothing if it was an ordinary absolute peak, but there were still a few special beings that were comparable to the half-step tribulation realm, which was very troublesome. The rest of them protect Jian Wushuang. Leave them to me. Fuigo stood up at this time. It's about the overall situation at the moment. He must get rid of these special lives first. The gods can't hold them alone. Boom. The special being rushing in the front is 80,000 times the divine body. Before entering this place, the true spirit also bestows them many treasures if their strength soar. 80,000 times the divine body is already the limit of the emperor. Even if he stepped into the tribulation realm, it would be difficult for the divine body to increase to 80,000 times. But the other party is a special life, a natural, perfect divine body. Like Qi Shui, it was 10,000 times the body at its weakest. Now it is normal to grow to this point, but it is a bit difficult for practitioners to reach 80,000 times the body. Even for a special divine body, it is difficult to do it. Boom. Huge palm prints descended, and the gods turned into golden dragons and roared to the sky. The strongest special being alone entangled the Frosa. Thanks, Tusk. Happy, no loss is a strong robbery realm. The rest of the special beings looked eagerly, but they didn't go together either, but rushed towards Fuigo. Among these special lives, the two special beings ranked in the top 3 exploded one after another, and the divine body of 78,000 times was undoubtedly revealed. This guy will leave it to both of us. You go to destroy the big formation. Although the special beings are bloodthirsty, warlike, and their minds are not too bright, they are not fools either. Know the severity. Before entering this place, the true spirit had already given orders. There was only one person on the battlefield who had the final say, and he had to listen to his command. Yes, among the remaining dozens of special beings, the weakest is more than 60,000 times the divine body, and there is one special being 74,000 times. Faced with these special lives, the faces of all the people standing in the big array were ashamed. No, the elders of the Maluo kingdom were so desperate, the black robes flew up suddenly, and a gust of weather erupted. Jian Wushuang quickly backed away. Although the formation of is a large formation that transforms life force, it still has some defensive power. For a while, those special lives still cannot be broken. What to do? Jian Wushuang was anxious in his heart. This kind of scene is beyond the scope of his ability. There is no way at all. The hard thing is absolutely impossible. Jian Wushuang stared at the three-way battle group. The battle between Zhenling and Zhuangzhong was the most intense. Both of them were complete robbery realm powerhouses, and the breath that erupted was the most intriguing. The second is the gods and Fuego. The two of them originally thought that they could join hands to stop all special beings, but found that the three strongest of them could actually compete with them. End of this chapter. Chapter 55, 63. For a while, there is no way to tell the outcome. However, with the means of the gods, there should be a backhand. As for Fuego, who was once a powerhouse in the Five Tribulations realm, it goes without saying that the pure strength is equivalent to the special life, but the combat experience and skills are far beyond the opponent. Up. In the long run, they still have a good chance of winning. But Jian Wushuang was afraid that the two of them were too slow, and if a big burst broke, they would all fall here. The last battlefield is this big formation. The emperors who came from the four secret realms in the formation, the strongest ones, were just ordinary peers. Even if the great elder of the Maluo kingdom burst out with super strength, he couldn't stop it at all. As for the Shadow Sect's few extremists, they are even more useless, and a special life outside the array can destroy them. Everyone, the big formation won't last long. We must change the formation. Following the voice, Ing Yi, who was speaking, was the number one strongest in Shadow Sect. Jian Wushuang frowned and said coldly, "Change the formation? You treat this as your home, and you change when you say it changes." This formation is not simple. He is involved in the formation and knows the difficulty of it. I have a way. Ing Yi's figure changed, and the golden light burst out from her body. Puppet. Jian Wushuang took a closer look and found that the other party was actually a puppet. This surprised him. It seems that there is still a bit of a backhand. Jian Wushuang did not hesitate at the moment, directly took out the token that the formation mobilized and threw it towards the opponent. The body of a puppet is not a life. It can be integrated into the big array. Even sacrificing oneself to become an array spirit can change the big array. If this formation becomes the main defensive formation, with these people, it can be held firmly. Although the strength of these people is not that great, there are also a few outstanding, hundreds of sixth-order emperors, and it is not difficult to hold on. After receiving the formation token, Ing looked happy, and then began to give up, preparing to inject his consciousness into the formation token. The battlefield in the distance. What the gods care about most is the formation, and even more afraid that Jian Wushuang will fall first. I have been staring at the rear all the time, and now I have figured out the other party's direct line. A barbarian with 80,000 times the divine body can't threaten him. The found something wrong. The formation is changing. Right now, he directly transmitted the sound of Jian Wushuang and asked about the accident. Hearing Yingyi's incarnation as a puppet, his entire complexion changed. Stop him. The Frosa roared too late to explain, and then his aura skyrocketed again, and the golden scales instantly changed into color, and for a while the power of the tribulation realm broke out. The special voice of the 80,000 times divine body sneered, trying to stop the divine spirit, but was directly swallowed by a flame of arrogance, and the divine body began to shatter. This trick was used by the gods to exchange injuries for injuries. Seeing the gods in the distance desperately, Jian Wushuang was also stunned, but the great elder Mo Luo on the side responded quickly, and he understood right away. Kajichi is a spy. Get rid of him. Boom, boom, boom. At the critical moment, the elder of the Maluo kingdom directly burned the origin and the divine body and instantly burst out several times the combat power, directly rushing over, putting his hands together. An impact directly pierced both hands into Ing Yi's chest, and then a grimly roar, and the whole Bodis aura skyrocketed again, and an explosion directly tore Ing Yi's puppet body to pieces. Late. Kajichi's consciousness has completely entered the formation token. The big array began to change. Jian Wuduan was like dead ashes. He knew that this time was completely over. Ing Yi is not the backhand of the gods, but the backhand of the true spirits. What he should have thought of. The gods are trapped here. Only consciousness can descend on the four main sources without any substantive power. How can it be possible to refine a puppet? The big formation stopped running in an instant, and the original strong life force, together with the power of all things, burst instantly. The extreme operation of the large array suddenly stopped some of its fragmentary parts and directly turned into dust, and the already violent power of all things directly emitted a fiery flame. Go! Jian Wushuang also reacted quickly, and the beast god's wings suddenly shook behind him, and his figure disappeared instantly. The big array burst out with strong light and shadow. Boom! A powerful force burst out. Jian Wushuang, who had escaped a long way, was still shattered by a flame of arrogance, and the divine body began to shatter, and the origin quickly dried up. Fortunately, he now masters the power of life and constantly recovers himself. Time after death, time after time recovery. Let his strength continue to rise. Don't forget that the extreme way he mastered has another advantage. That is, every time he dies, he will explode with the potential to surpass the limit, causing his strength to skyrocket again. It would be useful to deal with ordinary extremes, but now they are facing those special lives. Even though he escaped from the big formation, Jian Wushuang still had nothing to do. Ing Yi stopped the big formation forcibly and took almost all the emperors to death. The real spirit who fought with Zhuang looked happy. This is his backhand, and he didn't expect to play such a key role, but it was beyond his expectation. As for the fallen Shadow One, he is nothing more than a puppet, and he is well worth the money. There is nothing to regret. Even a practitioner is nothing. It is enough to be able to destroy the divine spirit's tactics. Call. Few people escaped from the big formation. Besides Jian Wushuang, there was also the great elder Mo Luo, but now the other party's aura was very weak. Jian Wushuang hurriedly rushed over. The opponent was a dead man of the gods. He was absolutely reliable. He had to help the opponent recover his strength. Otherwise, who will protect him? Jian Wushuang went directly to the opponent and put one hand on the shoulder of the elder of Maluo Kingdom, and then a powerful life force was injected into the opponent's body. The elder of Maluo State, was very surprised. He didn't expect this life force to be so strong. Although he knew that Jian Wushuang had a special ability, he didn't expect it to be so strong, instantly restoring a supreme source and divine body. Even the physical body is very complete. There is a surprised elder of the Maluo Kingdom in his eyes, Ukanshu. Kam didn't say much in the end, just gratefully said, "Thank you." "Don't thank me. Stop those special beings first." Jian Wushuang's views on the elder of the Maluo nation changed a bit, but he didn't expect the other party to say thank you. He thought the other party was a dead man. It turned out to be a bit human. After helping the opponent to recover from his injuries, Jian Wushuang did not stop, and at the edge of the battlefield, he began to help those emperors who survived by chance. In addition to the elders of the Maluo Kingdom, there is also a Zhu Jian who also survived, as well as a few lucky sixth-order emperors. Although it is useless to know the other party, he still helps the other party recover their strength, and it can be counted as one if they can survive. Since mastering the power of life, he seems to have a kindness to all beings. In the past, it would take care of these people. Chapter 55-64. Only if he can help him will he go to help him. Now, the Sixth Order Emperor is not helpful to him, but it is still a burden. In fact, it's no better than wasting energy. It's better to take the opportunity to escape. Those special lives were staring at them, but fortunately, the Frosa got out to block those special lives. Jian Wushuang tried his best to calm his emotions. At this moment, Neither escape nor fight will work. If Wuss can't do it, he has to change his mind. And right, these strong players on the field are divided into 3 parties to be precise. Zhuangzhong counts himself as one side. The true spirit and the special life are one side. The rest are the gods Frosa and Fuego, and these 2 are regarded as one side. In fact, in terms of combat power, it is equal to 3 tribulation realms. The current situation is a stalemate. If the big formation is still there, perhaps their side still has a chance to win. But now, without the big formation, as long as they attack him, the gods and Fuego will throw the rat. Now that the situation has changed, he has become very critical. If he hesitated stupidly, I'm afraid the real spirit will take action against him. Needs an opportunity, or a set of rhetoric. Jian Wushuang did not hesitate, but first transmitted the sound to the true spirit. Master True Spirit. Then, again, the voice of the gods was transmitted. He had a countermeasure in his heart, but it depends on whether the true spirit is willing or not. If he wants, the battle can be reversed in an instant, and even internal threats can be completely dismantled, and he himself will survive. As for Zhuangzhong, it was nothing more than a desolate beast, except for some bargaining chips in such a shutdown situation. It was useless. Zhenling and Zhuangzhong played against each other, and the 2 were on par. At the same time, he noticed the change of the situation, and he had half confidence in his heart, but it was only half confidence. Still need to fight now. Killing Jian Wushuang first is the key. As long as Jian Wushuang is killed, everything will be solved. Although it is impossible to completely eradicate the remaining troubles, at least it can be delayed for a few epochs. When the time comes when a strong robbery realm appears among the inheritors, he will also have no such worries. Jian Wushuang. Zhenling was a little surprised. The other party dared to transmit a voice to him. Are you not afraid that he will follow the cause and effect and kill him directly? Master True Spirit, the current situation is not beneficial to both parties. Even if I fall, Fuego will recover to its peak one day based on his own recovery speed, and there will be a catastrophe in the Temple of Qixin. The True Spirit said with disdain. Jian Wushuang, no matter what, you are going to fall today. Don't blame me. Although it was he who arranged Jian Wushuang as the bait at the beginning, but now he has to remove Jian Wushuang. As for Jian Wushuang's begging for mercy, it will make him a little disdainful. As a strong man, how can he beg for mercy? Jian Wushuang continued to persuade via voice transmission. Master True Spirit, don't you want to eliminate the troubles forever? Thanks. Do you also fool people with this set? Zhenling sneered and said, This place is the first prison. No one can break it. Then why are you here? Jian Wushuang asked directly, If this place is really so powerful, why does the real spirit still come? Isn't it just afraid of the gods means? Fuego is a giant of the Titans, a powerful giant of the 5 tribulations realm. If placed here, even if there is no means, the true spirit is probably not at ease. Zhenling's complexion sank, and with a backhand punch, Zhuangzhong slammed back. The voice transmission said, What do you want to say? The Titans are not as simple as you think. Jian Wushuang poked at the key point and continued, Master True Spirit, they are the Titans, the overlord of the stars. We don't have any deep hatred with them. Why do we have to suppress them? He talked a lot with the gods, knowing that the other party had nothing to do with Qixin Temple. Since there is no holiday, it is better to simply let the other party out. It's not good for anyone to keep fighting like this. Of course, the most unfriendly to him. Thinking about it, from the trial to the present, as long as he has a relationship with the gods, he almost fell. The last time he was looted by the White King, this time he was looted by the gods. Both stand on the opposite side of the Temple of Qixin. He didn't want this either, but he was helpless but just a pawn. Let's talk about the Temple of Fortune, suppressing the giants of the giants. Are you afraid of causing disaster? At the time, the three kings suppressed the Frosa, but it attracted Fuego. Isn't the true spirit afraid of attracting a stronger tribulation realm powerhouse? Now, the gods have fallen. Without ambiguity, it is hard to say whether the first prison is still one way. After all, the gods can teleport them here. I am afraid there is also a way to go out. Maybe this method needs Fuego to restore the peak, or need the help of a 5 tribulations realm expert. It's all possible. In this case, it is better to let the other party go. Zhenling was also taken aback when he heard his persuasion. But I don't think so from the bottom of my heart. Although the gods told Jian Wushuang many secrets, there were still some key reasons that were missed. Perhaps the gods didn't know why the gods had to suppress him. The true spirit knows the reason. This also has a big reason with Morwa time and space. When Morwa time and space collapsed, there was something to do with the Titans. What if the opponent was released to retaliate? Zhenling thought a lot more than Jian Wushuang. The current Temple of Qixin is still the overlord in this long river of time and space, because this place is a long river of time and space that has just been born. Anyone who comes to the tribulation realm will be able to dominate. But in some time and space that was stronger than Morwo's time and space at the beginning, there were tribulation realms that were stronger than Qixin. The Temple of Qixin is a moving treasure house. In front of such a strong person, it is nothing at all. Even if there are many backhands, the original intention of the Qixin Temple is to cultivate the inheritors, and it is really to be remembered by some great abilities. Not only can it not train the inheritors, but the Qixin Temple will be trapped to death. Jian Wushuang, what you think is too simple. Zhenling once again shot open Zhuang severely. The breath in his body skyrocketed again, and he wanted to get out. Jian was double-faced color changed, and he still had to insist. This was his only way out, but he couldn't just give up like that. He felt the true spirit's killing intent clearly, and if this continued, he would be finished. Master True Spirit, what if they are willing to take the oath of life? Hearing the vow of life, Kam really stunned for a moment. This time Jian Wushuang had no voice transmission, and the gods and Fuego also heard it. Oath of life. That is a major event that can affect the future tribulation. No one will swear such an oath for no reason. Fuego turned to look at the Frosa and asked, "You agreed?" The did not speak, but his thoughts were turning. He did not agree or refute. The natal oath will indeed affect a lot, but it also depends on the conditions of the oath. If they swear not to retaliate against the Temple of Qi, and only ask the other party to let them out, that would be great. But Zhenling didn't have the ability to let them out, so he had never thought about it that way. End of this chapter. Chapter 55-65. Now it's different. As long as the true spirit promises not to interfere with them, he can also swear that, after going out, he will not be disadvantageous to the Temple of Qixin. This sale is a bargain. That's why he didn't refute it. Zhenling was also stunned when he heard these words. He knew better than Jian Wushuang about his life oath. In the past, the two sides had no room for maneuver, so they didn't think about alleviating them at all, but never stopped dying. It's different now. Everyone sat together. Jian Wushuang saw that there was a play, and then said, "Master True Spirit, as long as you swear not to interfere with their plans, they can also swear not to do things that are detrimental to the Temple of Qixin." The best of both worlds. Fuego was originally very cautious, but after thinking about it, he couldn't help but clap his hands in applause. If this is the case, there is no need to fight. After regaining his peak, the Frosa has a way to take him out. As for revenge on the Temple of Qi, he really thought about it. As soon as he leaves here, he will notify the superpower of the clan to come. The Qixin Temple combines the power of a long river of time and space, and there are countless treasures in it, and it is the remains of a half-step 8-Jie realm. The Seven Tribulations realm's great power is very eager. Of course, he didn't want to let it go. Judging from the current situation, he could just go out and leave everything else. Frosa looked at Fuigo and nodded. Both of them acquiesced. Now I really nodded. Jian Wushuang was also very nervous. He was not afraid that the real spirit would gamble, betting that there will be a super existence among the inheritors in the future. Even if Fuigo can get out of the first prison at that time, he can still be in the Temple of Qixin. Kill. The true spirit is also afraid. What if 1/6 tribulations realm or several 5 tribulations realm does not appear? It was too risky to deal with Fuigo just by mobilizing the Sea of Origin. Fuigo's peak combat power has half a step and 6 calamities. The true spirit mobilizes the Sea of Origin and is not an opponent and can only rely on geographical advantages to deal with it. Too risky. Jian Wushuang, this time you have done a great job again. Zhenling finally gave up the adventure and chose peace talks. Zhuang Zhong was stunned when he heard this. Do not fight. Peace talks? What about him? Frosa, do you dare to play with me? Zhuang Zhong was very atmospheric and finally managed to survive until now and became the protagonist, but the two sides stopped fighting. Then he is useless. Maybe the two sides will work together to kill him first. Zhuang Zhong backed away quickly, frowning. Zhenling turned his head to look at the other party and said coldly, Zhuang Zhong, you beg for mercy now. I can spare your life and take you out. A tribulation realm and a complete tribulation realm also has the potential to rise. It is a good helper, provided that the other party submits and makes an oath. If so, the true spirit can bypass the opponent. The more important reason is that he seems to know how this guy escaped from purgatory. This is very important because some of the tribulation realms imprisoned in purgatory are not even his opponents, and there is absolutely no room for error. Moreover, purgatory is the core of the operation of the Temple of Discord, second only to the Sea of Origin. No mistakes are allowed there. Zhuang Zhong gritted his teeth and stared at Frosa angrily. Although he was a bit reckless, he was not stupid. Frosa abandoned him. He could not only turn his head to the real spirit, but was at the mercy of others. The Frosa didn't call the Zhuang Zhong, but looked at the real spirit and said, let's take an oath first. I think it's better not to worry about Zhuang Zhong. He was also afraid that Zhuang Zhong had just taken refuge in the real spirit, and the real spirit would act on them again. Although I think a little bit more about this. It's about whether I can get out from here, and I have to guard against it. No problem, but please state the content of the vow in advance. Zhenling doesn't care. He cares more about the vow. The two sides formally negotiated peace talks and began to discuss oaths. Jian Wushuang was finally relieved. This time the crisis is resolved. If there is no reconciliation, he must continue to fight. He can only hide and enter the Guantian chessboard to survive. But to be trapped here forever, thinking about it is no different from falling. The strong should have traveled through the stars and traveled through every cosmic time and space, and being bound is really no different from falling. It's better to let the other party give it a lot of fun. Those special beings standing aside are a bit boring, talking to each other one after another. This is the end. The special life of 80,000 times the divine body obviously hasn't been addicted yet, which is very regrettable. I thought it would be wonderful, but so... Jian Wushuang was not far away. He sneered in his heart when he heard the other party's words. After the battle. In fact, the two sides did not have much backhands, and the true spirit sent a clone to come. Definitely not little preparation. After all, I was not sure. Just letting a puppet arranged in Shadowzong take the shot is nothing. If it weren't for his carelessness, the other party wouldn't be able to pick it up. There is also the Frosa, who has prepared countless epics, and the backhand will not be less than the true spirit, and it is also useless. I really want to do it all. I'm afraid these special lives won't survive a few. It's already good to be able to stand here and talk now. And these special beings are all real bodies who come in, and whether they can go out is a problem, and they will even consider whether they are addicted to fighting. The two sides discussed for an hour, and finally the oath was finished. No problem. My request is not too much. Zhenling kneaded the fleshy beard at the corner of his mouth and looked at Frosa. Frosa frowned and said coldly, "Isn't it a bit too much to not appear in the same time and space with the Temple of Qixin at the same time?" Over the years, he has also understood that the plan of the Qixin Temple is huge. Not only must he cultivate inheritors, but I am afraid that he will go to some more powerful time and space battles in the future. If he encounters it, should he still have to hide? Don't forget, he is of the giant tribe, and he also wants to fight time and space. Could it be that you have to give up when you encounter the Temple of Qixin? Humph, so much time and space. Are you going to be an enemy of Qixin Temple? Zenling's small eyes glared, and he shouted angrily. The Frosa is not to be outdone. For this, it was another hour of entanglement. Jian Wushuang couldn't stand aside anymore, so he couldn't take a step back and take a step back after entangled for such a long time. In the end, each retreats half a step and can be in the same time and space, but Frosa cannot threaten the sphere of influence where the Temple of Discord is located. You can't even step in. Frosa is also satisfied with this, because neither side can step into their respective forces, which is also good for him. Well, since there is no problem, just swear according to the above oath. Wait. Frosa stopped the real spirit. Zhenling asked impatiently, "Have you ever finished?" "One more witness." Frosa said, "Witness. Actually, it is optional, but for the sake of formality, it is better to find one." With a move of Zhenling's eyes, he turned to look at Jian Wushuang. The gods also looked over. The two stared at Jian Wushuang, and Jian Wushuang looked straight. Chapter 55, 66. Vower Frosa. Jian Wushuang stood in the middle of the two with dignity, his voice high and powerful. He also held a piece of jade slip in his hand with the vows on top. Originally thought that 2 sentences would be almost the same. Unexpectedly, the two of them listed thousands of vows in them. I didn't expect it to be so troublesome. Although he felt a little embarrassed, the gods Frosa and the true spirit were very serious, and after hearing their names, they responded. Frosa stepped forward and said loudly, "Yes." "Vower, true spirit." Zhenling also stepped forward. His voice sounded loudly. "Yes. Are you too?" Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. This time it was his turn to talk, and he finished talking for a long time. The Frosa and the true spirit showed a hint of pride on their faces. After all, they were both established. "I do." The two answered at the same time. Jian Wushuang gave a dry cough and continued, "Let's start." "Yes. My Titan, Frosa, my God Temple, the first true spirit." A long series of vows. It took a full half an hour to say, before it was completed. At the moment when the oath succeeded, an invisible air descended in the starry sky, and then merged into the origin of the two. If Frosa breaks his oath, he will fall through the catastrophe. Since the true spirit is not a cultivator, he has pressed the sea of origin of the of disobedience, and if he violates it, the sea of origin will collapse. Without the sea of origin, Qixin Temple is just an empty shell. The real spirit dare not take this risk. Call. Jian Wushuang let out a sigh, and finally everything was done. Jian Wushuang, you did a good job this time. Once the giant clan in the origin of all things leaves, that origin will be yours. Zhenling said with satisfaction. The origin of all things, in fact, should have been given to Jian Wushuang. This time it was a smooth ride. Jian Wushuang was very excited about this. Not only did he save his life this time, he could also get the origin of everything, which is naturally best. Right now, he bowed respectfully and thanked him. Thank you, Lord Zhenling. Well, let's recover the strength of this seat soon, and leave from here soon. Fuigo didn't speak the whole time, and now he couldn't help but remind him. Zhenling raised his hand slightly to signal that those special beings were backing away, and a large formation rose again here. This large formation was originally used as a backup, but now it seems that the gods are fully prepared, and changes have long been expected. Jian Wushuang and Fuigo stepped into the big formation at the same time, and the gods followed suit. This time, first recover my injury. Frosa still felt a little unstable, afraid of another change. His original source recovery speed is relatively fast. It only takes 10 years. At that time, there will be a complete Tribulation Realm combat power. Even if there is a change, there will be confidence. Fuigo didn't care about this. Sitting cross-legged in the center of the formation, relying solely on his own recovery ability, began to recover his origin. And Jian Wushuang is to help the Frosa begin to repair the origin of the opponent. As for the clone of the true spirit, it was viewed from a distance. Anyway, it's just a clone, and it's okay to stay here, so they chatted with Zhuangzhong and asked about purgatory. Zhuangzhong lowered his head, a little lonely, changed his previous vigor, and whispered, "There is indeed something wrong with purgatory, and several tribulation realms have fallen." Zhenling's complexion changed drastically. He didn't even know. Although he could not directly enter the purgatory, he was able to sense the opponent in the robbery realm. Those familiar breaths are clearly there. How could they fall? It's devouring. Zhuangzhong's expression was moved, and there was fear in his eyes. When Zhenling heard the word swallow, he was also surprised, but he reacted quickly and asked, "Which god is it?" "It's Gujun." Zhuangzhong was a little sad. He almost fell to purgatory. The opponent's strength was really terrifying. Fortunately, he was only a small person in purgatory. The ancient Lord God did not care about him, but slaughtered the lords of the universe and swallowed the others' origin. Although the masters of the universe had fallen, the origin was swallowed by the ancient monarch, and the aura naturally remained. So the real spirit didn't find it. Gujun. Zhenling's expression changed sharply after hearing the name. One of the three Allahs fell and turned into the 5 great demon lords. There are 2 other people who originally thought the Temple of Ignorance, but they didn't expect that the evil would still be left. Perhaps it was the original being kind and unwilling to let it all out to harm the starry sky. Suppressed one of them. The true spirit closed his eyes slightly, and his subject consciousness returned to the deity. In the Sea of Origin, the true spirit sits in the Sevuing court and begins to deduct it. At the same time, some memory fragments are still being swallowed. That is the memory of the gods. The real spirit's deity and the clone open their eyes at the same time. In my mind, there was a large picture and the conspiracy of the 3 Allahs. The first prison, the avatar of true spirit, was a little cold, staring at Zhuangzhong and interrogating, "How is the strength of the ancient monarch?" After learning about the conspiracies of those Allahs, or the evil thoughts of the gods at the beginning, they passed on to the source of devouring, so that the other party would remember them all the time. After all this is still the bane left by the gods. Although purgatory is strong, it is a treasure of time and space, but its power is also limited. If it is broken by the other party, the Temple of Qixin is really going to be finished. compared with the original desolate god lord? Zhuangzhong replied, comparable to shortage. Zhenling was in a daze. The strength of the desolate god lord is the pinnacle of the six tribulations realm and can be ranked in the top 3 positions in Morwa time and space, and only the god of desolation can stabilize the desolation. The remaining 3 six tribulations realm mighty powers, one is a newly promoted six tribulations realm, and the other 2, there is one that does not belong to the temple of Qixin. The true spirit is not known much, but Huang's strength is faintly among the 3 great gods the strongest. Gu Jun can compare favorably with Huang, which is very different from the memory he got. The 3 Allahs at the time were not so strong. Why is it so strong now? Fortunately, one fell. Now, one is suppressed in the primitive universe, and one from is in purgatory. They are all on the head of Qixin Temple, like a stone. Retribution. This is the catastrophe of the Temple of Qixin. Can't hide it. Now that the internal troubles of the Titans have just been solved, a bigger hidden danger has come. The kind of lunatic Gu Jun is not so easy to talk about, and he really wants the other party to come out, so he can't lift the Temple of the Gods. Zhenling was afraid after a while, but fortunately he knew it in advance and could deal with it in advance. You mean there was a crack in the battle? Follow the crack, and you got here? Zhenling couldn't believe it. Purgatory is the treasure of time and space. How could there be a space crack? Zhuangzhong nodded and said firmly, "It's true, it's just a gap in space that just appeared in front of me. Only I escaped, and I don't know why I appeared here." Chapter 55-67. This is troublesome. In case the crack reappears, Gu Jun can be here at any time. However, there have been several battles before, and there is no space. The time I escaped was strange. The battle was not the most intense. Gu Jun killed 2 Four Tribulations realm powerhouses, and a crack suddenly appeared. Zhuangzhong was also very puzzled. When the ancient monarch appeared, he fought against several Five Tribulations realm, but there were no cracks. Instead, when the Four Tribulations realm powerhouse was killed, a spatial crack appeared. Maybe this has nothing to do with fighting. It's likely that there is a problem with purgatory. Zhenling also thought of this. If there is a problem in purgatory, it will be a big deal. Fortunately, the speed of the ancient monarch is not very fast, and now he has only swallowed a number of the 3 Tribulations realm and the 4 Tribulations realm, and is still digesting the results. There is still a lot of time left for him. The ancient monarch was transformed by devouring the origin. The more the strong swallowed, the stronger the strength, is now comparable to shortage, which means that he has reached the pinnacle of the 6 Tribulations realm. If you swallow all the Tribulation realm of purgatory, I am afraid you can reach the 7 Tribulation realm in half a step. At that time, come out along the crack again, and the Temple of Qixin will really be over. The 5 Tribulations realm can still be suppressed, and the 6 Tribulations realm requires a large number of backhands to be able to deal with it. 1 half-step 7 Tribulations realm. The consequences could be disastrous. The pressure instantly came to Zhenling's head. Damn, why did you have to leave so much harm in the first place? Zhenling was very upset. The god of gods should have killed all these people. Now, he leaves him with a mess. What should he do? He is just a true spirit, and he can't get out yet. Inside the Qixin Temple, he has the power of the peak of the 5 Tribulations realm. Dealing with the 6 Tribulations realm requires mobilizing the Sea of Origin. As for the half-step 7 Tribulations realm, he has nothing to do. Can only hope that purgatory will be strong. The treasure of time and space. Even if no one controls it, it should not be difficult to suppress a half-step 7 Tribulation realm. Zhenling comforted, and then asked about the many situations inside purgatory, before slowly closing his eyes. The cultivation of inheritors has to be accelerated. can't procrastinate like this any longer. In recent years, several Ultimate Emperors have also appeared. After these little guys reach the Sixth Order Emperor, there is nothing to experience in the four great secret realms. These Ultimate Emperors with great potential must be sent out for experience. The long river of time and space where the original universe is located is not as strong as the four great secret realms, so naturally it won't work, so it has to be sent to other powerful time and space. The clone is here to observe the recovery of Fuego and others, while the real body begins to preach on the Tomb Sacred Mountain, and at the same time, it is constantly arranging various trials to temper the ultimate Taoist monarchs. Only enough Ultimate Emperors can cultivate the Tribulation realm. Under his training, Shang has almost broken through. There are 1 and 2. By then, you can rely on this experience to continuously cultivate out of the Tribulation realm. After the Ultimate Emperor becomes the Tribulation realm, he is more powerful than the ordinary Emperor of the Origin Tao who breaks through the Tribulation realm. As long as he is a practitioner of the ultimate way and becomes a Tribulation realm, he can quickly become a powerhouse in the 3 Tribulation realm. Then control a universe, the speed of cultivation will skyrocket, and he can quickly become a powerhouse in the 5 Tribulations realm. This is the advantage of the ultimate way, which becomes more obvious from Dao Jun, Monarch, and Tribulation realm to the later stage. That's why the true spirits will spend their blood to cultivate those ultimate Taoists. As for the Emperor of the ordinary origin, he is treated as a green leaf like fish farming. Only a few emperors with special origins will be focused on training. Millions of years, but a drop of water in the long river of time and space evaporates instantly. It's been millions of years since the opening of the Temple of Fortune, and today's testers have been calculated based on cosmic units. Used to be just the original universe where the Temple of Chishan was located, as well as the surrounding universe plundering trialists. Now the scope has expanded to a whole long river of time and space. The handwriting of the Temple of Qi is bigger than they thought. In the Tomb Mountain and even the Senate Palace, a large number of tasks have already begun, all of which are plundering tasks. Headed by the Sixth Order Emperor, plundered the universe. As long as it is Yenxian, if you don't let it go, you will get rid of it when you see it. Daijin's requirements are extremely strict. Sometimes 90% of the fairy tales in a universe were looted, but the Dian Fairy and Dao Jun only looted less than 10,000 people. Most of Yenxian is undeveloped, the universe is uncertain, and there is a bright future. Dianxian and Dao Jun are generally finalized, and no matter how rich and powerful the temple is, it will not waste time on some waste. The dry uproar in the outside world has created tremendous competitive pressure inside the Temple of Chishan. Batches of powerful men were born, and they quickly compared the proud Fifth Order Emperors. Among the inheritors who were in the same batch with Jian Wushuang and others, some of the more powerful Dao monarchs, such as the Dao monarch Juyu of the heavenly and evangelical realm, were ranked among the top 500 in the universe in Dian Immortal before entering the Temple of Chishan. After entering the Tomb Mountain, it is even more vigorous, and at the peak it can be comparable to the Wandao, Ludao monarch of Wanqing. After successfully joining the Dao and stepping into the Emperor, in millions of years, he has cultivated to the Fifth Order Emperor. Although there is time to accelerate in the middle, perhaps it has been cultivated for hundreds of millions of years, but at the beginning he was considered a top inheritor. But now it is only the Fifth Order Peak Emperor, and the Sixth Order Emperor has appeared in the inheritors behind, but it is not being compared. This also caused the early inheritors to be even more crazy and even more desperate than the later inheritors. The Fifth Order Emperor is still wandering in the four great secret realms, and the Sixth Order Emperor almost all left the Chishan Temple and went to the long river of time and space. A few went to the land boundary. The disappearance of the gods made the realm disappear, but the killing of Broly, the superpower change road, has never stopped. Akeanangshu. Kam has become an absolute top, but he is still looking for his father-killing enemy. Earth-shaking changes have taken place in the outside world over the past 1,000,000 years. As for the rebellion of Jian Wushuang, it has long been left behind, and no one mentions it again. Also remembered from the bottom of the hearts of a few people who were closer to Jian Wushuang. On the dark ruins, under the huge willow tree devastated by thunder and lightning, Hui Qing sat cross-legged on the ruins, but her white robe was spotless. He did not leave the temple of Qixin with Dashur, but on this ruin he had meditation for millions of years. When he opened his eyes again, the stars in his eyes revolved, and the galaxies condensed. Master! Standing on the willow tree that was split in half by lightning, Jiangshang was surprised to see the master opened his eyes. She thought she would practice here for hundreds of millions of years, but she didn't expect to leave the customs so soon. Over the years, Jiangshang has followed Hui Qing through the 4 secret realms, and has also been to the Tomb Mountain. He has seen a lot, and also knows how powerful his potential is. After cultivating for millions of years, she became a 6th-order emperor. She knew that all of this was related to the spirit of vegetation in her body. Chapter 55-68. Her origin is the true spirit made by vegetation. I have read countless classics, and I have never heard of whose origin produces spiritual consciousness. This secret is only known to her and the master, and it has never been mentioned to outsiders. We stood up slowly, looked up at the willow tree, leaked a smile, and said, "We should go now." "Okay." Jiangshang nodded in agreement, also very happy. In this ruin, she is really boring. Jiangshang jumped down from the willow tree, but when he touched the ground, his heart moved. That is the trembling of the source. Jiangshang's face immediately cooled down, and his mood was also broken. "It's okay, I'm here." Hui Qing put a hand on Jiangshang's shoulder, helping the other party calm down, and her eyes were full of wisdom. He stopped practicing, but instead of leaving, someone came, and it seems to be an acquaintance. In the depths of the ruins, in the black mist, a figure slowly walked up, towering 10,000 battles high, and the cyan armor on his body was terrifying. The mist on the waist rose, accompanied by a roar of destruction. Qingjia didn't worry at all, and casually tore a desolate beast comparable to the 5th-order emperor in the ruins, and walked towards Hui Qing and the others. The sense of oppression caused Jiangshang's eyes to shrink next to him, and the spirit of vegetation in his body was even more frightening. Hui Qing raised her eyes and looked at her without any surprise, but rather calm, stared at the blue-clad figure, and said calmly, "Why bother with it for so long?" Click! The blue-clad figure stopped, stepped on the brown withered bones on the ground, and made noises. "I didn't mean it, but I'm really interested. Hui Qing, I am very optimistic about you. I hope you can understand." The blue-clad figure spoke, and the black mist dissipated, revealing his appearance. The person here is the Azure Dragon Hallmaster. In addition to the true spirit, the strongest powerhouse in the Qixin Temple is terrifying. He is no longer as simple as the half-step robbery. He is a super strong who can match the robbery. It was only slightly weaker than the original Jueyun Great Emperor. If you go to the North Watch Tower, you can cross the 80th floor, at least, is stronger than those gods. This kind of character has been following Hui Qing secretly. The scariest thing is that Hui Qing actually knows. Came straight. Jiangshang didn't dare to look at each other. His eyes kept avoiding, and he retreated behind Hui Qing. She had met Longyi once in the imperial capital of Great Xia, but that time Longyi's target was not them, so there was not much pressure. If she really faced it, she would feel how terrifying the other party was. Hui Qing's complexion was still calm, and she said, "Since the palace master has no intention, why bother me as a disciple? Do you really want to protect her?" Longy frowned slightly, since Hui Qing was able to spot him. She knew that she was not here for Hui Qing, but for Jiang Shang. The spirit of plants and trees in the opponent's body is the biggest hidden danger in the forest of 10,000 treasures, and it must be eliminated. Zhen Ling did not hesitate about this. As long as the opponent's strength exceeded his bottom line, he would immediately clean up. Compared to other threats, the spirit of vegetation is more terrifying. The so-called one mountain cannot tolerate two tigers. There is only one true spirit in the Qixin Temple, and no second one can appear. The original true spirits can swallow each other and take away their homes. This is also the reason why the true spirits want to kill Jiang Shang. So I directly dispatched Long Yi to come and stare at him in secret. Unfortunately, Hui Qing kept Jiang Shang by her side and didn't have the opportunity to do it. Now Jiang Shang's strength has reached the Sixth Order Emperor, and the original true spirit has even reached the ultimate level. True spirit, he couldn't bear it, and with the pressure of the ancient monarch, he couldn't be more merciful. Even if Hui Qing is evil, he will kill Jiang Shang. Long Yi didn't speak this time. He sighed from the bottom of his heart. He also knew a lot about the specific reasons. After all, he had been staring for so many years. As one of the 4 Great Hall Masters, he originally existed for the purpose of cultivating inheritors, but now he has to deal with an inheritor. He still can't bear it. After all, Hui Qing did not betray the Temple of Qixin like Jian Wushuang, but practiced honestly. He is also very grateful to the Temple of Qishuang. He has a strong personality, mood, and potential. He must be a candidate for the 3 gods in the future. Nowadays, among the inheritors, there are many strong ones who have inherited the 3 major gods, but few can inherit in the end. Hui Qing has that potential and strength. This kind of super inheritor, the strong man who will be determined in the future, is now going to step on the opposite side. What a pity! Dragon's breath soared, and his body exploded with an unmatched breath. He still wants to make Hui Qing retreat because it is impossible to stop him. Knows Hui Qing's character, but he must do the same, which shows how much he values Hui Qing. Is not only the Qinglong Hall, but also the White Tiger Hall and the Vermilion Bird Hall have a high evaluation of Hui Qing. The resources are fully supported, and the true spirit is to open the 3 kings' relics for Hui Qing, so that Hui Qing can successfully unite. Let's do it! Hui Qing's eyebrows were shining, and there was determination in his eyes. He couldn't give up his disciple. He also has a heart to guard. This is what he learned from his master. In the great wilderness battle, facing an army of hundreds of millions of bones, the 9th rank Dayan Immortal, the person who guarded him, never retreated, and went to death generously. Now it's his turn. How can he retreat? How dare to retreat? If he retreats, it would be against his own Tao heart, and he would never be able to reach the peak in his entire life. In order to protect everything, he is willing to fight. Master, I will not lose your face. The long robe was floating, and in the mud, a touch of white robe monk's breath shook the sky, retreating thousands of miles of powerful enemies. Long stood with his hands in front of him, shocked in his heart. Just a breath can force him back. How can it be is able to force him back? How strong Hui Qing is, but he clearly feels that Hui Qing is just a 6th Order peak emperor. How could it be so strong? You still hide your strength. Long Yi's eyes shrank, and Calm stared at Hui Qing in disbelief. Hui Qing clasped her hands together, but her complexion was stern, without the kind eyebrows and eyes of the past. Good. This honor is the real great freedom. As soon as the dragon rose into the air, the aura on his body skyrocketed again, with joy on his face, and smiled. It seems that there's going to be a big battle. Originally thought it would be a crushing, but Hui Qing did not expect Hui Qing to hide his strength. He really wanted to take it seriously. He was also very excited at this moment. He didn't expect that Hui Qing's potential would be so strong. After only a few years, he has reached the top level. Please. Hui Qing raised her hand and made a gesture of please. Only this time, neither of them was polite and shot directly. Two huge breaths trembled together. Jiang Shang hid in the distance, his face pale, although neither of them said it clearly. But she had some guesses in her heart. It might be because of her that Ryuichi was provoked. She had heard of Long Yi's strength, and she was very worried about her master. Hui Qing was her only living relative. When her brother died, she would never allow the master to leave her. Chapter 55, 69. A pair of small hands clenched tightly, nails pierced the palms of the palms, and the bright red blood moon flowed from the gaps between the fingers and dripped on the ruins. Over the ruins, the fighting between the two was fierce. Long Yi became stronger as he fought, and his breath continued to rise, while Hui Qing's breath continued to weaken. Even if it reaches the ultimate level, it is still very difficult to fight against a strong like Long Yi, especially in the experience of fighting. It is even more crushed. One carelessly, countless fist shadows fell. Hui Qing's eyebrows shone. Her figure disappeared in an instant, and she hid behind him. Before he stopped for a moment, an afterimage appeared behind him. It was Long Yi. Boom! A heavy leg kicked Hui Qing's back fiercely. After the dull sound of the blow, it directly shattered Hui Qing's physical body and also tore the divine body. Hui Qing's body was heavily smashed into the ruins, and the entire ruins were sunken. Jiang Shang was extremely angry in his eyes, but even if her strength was gone, she might not be able to stop around and would only distract the master. I can only watch. But before she knew it, her breath kept rising, which was a leap without a limit. Soon it came to the brink of the summit. In the deep pit of the ruins, Hui Qing's white robe shattered and slowly stood up from the ruins, with some blood stains on the corners of his mouth, and the injuries on his body began to recover under the condition of naked eyes. Bah! He tore off the torn robe on his body and revealed a set of black brocade clothes, which matched Hui Qing very well. His body was cracked, but the black brocade did not even have a crack. Just now, Long Yi's power was enough to destroy the ordinary eternal treasure. But this suit did not break, obviously not a mortal thing. This is a peak eternal treasure. Puff! Hui Qing turned her head and spit out saliva, moved her body slightly, and looked up at Long Yi in the air, her expression calm. The battle just now was just a warm-up. Long Yi raised his eyebrows. This time he was not surprised by Hui Qing's strength, but found that the other party was very calm. Hui Qing, aren't you afraid? Staring at Hui Qing, Long Yi was very puzzled. The other party didn't use all his strength, so he didn't hide it. After all, he was the inheritor, and he didn't want to crush Hui Qing directly. I really want to use my full strength. I am afraid that Hui Qing has just fallen. In the temple of Qishan, apart from the true spirit and the other 3 hall masters, no one could resist him for a turn. Just so confident. As for the other 3 hall masters, it was not because of how strong the other party was, but because they were all the same. They were puppets, and it was difficult for them to be killed by the robbery. Unless it is the powerhouse of the 3 tribulations realm that has mastered the universe, it will be able to defeat them head-on. The defensive ability is even stronger than the great Emperor Julian back then. Hui Qing can't stop him. He just didn't want to hurt Hui Qing. It would be better to solve it peacefully and hand over the girl. Although he is a puppet, he also understands people's hearts. Hui Qing leaped into the sky, facing Long Yi with a loud voice. My master taught, don't be afraid if you want to guard. At the beginning, his masters did not fear death. in order to protect him, all fell. Jian Wushuang did the same, desperately protecting him, escaped from the army of corpses, and stood in front of him when facing death. How could it be possible to go back when it was his turn to guard at this moment? Long sighed, shook his head, and then his eyes changed a little, and he said, "Then don't blame me. This time, he won't keep his hands. He will directly wound Huiqing seriously, and then take Jiang Shang away. No way. Everything is for the overall situation. To threaten the true spirit, that is to threaten the entire temple of Qishan, he had to do it. If it is for other reasons, he is willing to intercede, even against the will of the true spirit." Yulong Shangbin. Long shouted angrily, and his towering body began to shake. Puff! The blue armor on his back was broken, stings appeared, and the dragon's tail swayed up from behind, and his face was directly transformed into the state of a dragon. At this moment, Long Yi's strength directly surpassed the general, but it was only half of his combat power, but it was already enough to deal with Huiqing. Now, Huiqing's strength is at best comparable to Wuzhua, and he can match Wuzhua at the beginning, and is already very strong. As soon as the terrifying breath came out, Huiqing was directly shaken out of the country, under the shining beams of light, barely blocking the wave of air. Huiqing, who stood still, burst out with all his strength. The mark on the center of his eyebrows flashed, and his strength reached its peak. Reincarnation. Long Yi used the pinnacle secret method, and Huiqing also used the reincarnation technique he had just raised to the level of the universe secret method. For a time, the breath of both of them was very sharp, but in the eyes of outsiders, there is still a huge difference in strength. Long Yi's strength was a level stronger than Huiqing. There is no suspense in this battle. Boom! The strong breath tore through the space of the human world, and Long Yi unilaterally crushed Huiqing through the space. This is the double suppression of state and power. Huiqing reached the summit because the realm of space, except for the secrets of the universe, was still a black hole and did not reach the universe. I suffered a big loss as soon as I played against it. The breath suppressed by Long Yi began to drop. Fortunately, reincarnation jerk, but the core of the reincarnation saint, one of the three major gods, Yuwu, Okanshu. Calm has now been improved by Huiqing and has reached the level of the cosmic secret law, only to be able to barely block Long Yi's first blow. Bang bang! There was a burst of air, and Jiang Shang in the distance heard only the sound, but did not see the shape of the two. At this time, Jiang Shang, whose aura had already reached the highest level, couldn't see the two fighting each other. He was still far behind in the realm of space. Swish! The two figures appeared together in the next moment, but after another moment of fighting, they disappeared again. Jiang Shang could only feel that Master Huiqing's aura was steadily weakening, while Long Yi, who played the Yulong Shangbin, became stronger in the Vietnam War. Ho-hoo! Huiqing gasped heavily, and after he took another punch again, his body began to shatter. This time it was really broken, and he didn't even have the power to repair it. He has reached the point of burning the origin, and if he doesn't burn the origin, he is likely to be beaten by the dragon to the origin withered next time. The divine body burns. Huiqing's eyes burst and began to forcibly burn the divine body. From the basic 50,000 times the divine body, it continues to climb. 58,000 times, 60,000 times, 65,000 times. Huiqing broke out completely at this moment and roared up to the sky. Who could have imagined that Huiqing, who was once gentle and gentle, would have such a crazy day? Boom! The forcibly burning divine body instantly transformed into strength. A full 70,000 times the divine body erupted. Huiqing was like a god, holding a stick in one hand and a fist in the other, with a grim complexion, clenched teeth, and a blood moon flowing down her mouth, already falling into a state of madness. Long's eyelids were trembling, and the next moment he waved his right hand. A blood-colored cloak appeared behind him instantly, and a long spear that had frightened him for hundreds of millions of years came and appeared in his hand. Chapter 55:70. Not cruel, but to show enough respect. It was also because he didn't want to watch Hui Qing fight to death, and wanted to resolve the battle quickly. As long as he suppressed Hui Qing, he could directly take away Jiang Shang. Zhenlong's spear. Only I am the peerless warrior of the Temple of Forbidding. I am very glad that you can see him. A smile leaked from the corner of Long's mouth. Countless epics have not really taken a shot, and at this moment his combat power has increased to 70%. Hui Qing didn't speak, but stood firmly in front of Long Yi, without a trace of wavering. Above the ruins, under the gloomy sky, two superpowers are fighting against each other. The breath of this place has already shaken the entire human world secret realm. Although among the four great secret realms, the human world secret realm has the least sense of existence, but there are still a few superpowers, all at the edge of the ruins, watching this place. The strongest battle between heaven and earth. Although they couldn't face the battle directly, just feeling the two powerful breaths made them feel addicted. The aboriginal superpowers are yearning, but no one dared to step forward. At that level of battle, they didn't have the qualifications to watch it at close range. Do you know the identity of the other party? A supremely strong man with a folding fan in his hand looked at the middle-aged Yuluan white-crowned man. The bottom of my heart is very curious. Where does this kind of power come from? The strongest of the four secret realms is the tomb of the gods. The human world is the closest to the tombs of the gods, just below them. I have gone down there before and encountered many powerful special beings, but they don't feel that they are deep in the ruins, too powerful. The middle-aged man called the Doormaster is the doormaster of the strongest force in the human world, Fengmanshan, and one of the oldest in the human world. He has a high status and knows a lot. The sect master shook his head. This time, he really didn't know the details of the other party. Those two breaths were very peculiar, and they were likely to be inheritors, not the powerhouses of the four secret realms. He was fortunate enough to have seen this kind of tyrannical aura once, and that time the strong man who broke the robbery arm came, and that breath made the entire human world tremble. Later, that mysterious strong man never appeared again. Feel it well. This level of battle may be the strongest decisive battle we have ever seen in this life. The master of the door closed his eyes like a torch. Although he could only feel two auras in the fight, he could barely see the figure, but he could feel that the two breaths have been colliding, which is enough. A group of people stood outside the ruins, quietly watching. A storm has formed in the ruins. The center of the storm is Hui Qing and Long Yi. Then after the divine body, his strength skyrocketed. But Long Yi's strength also increased to 70%, which was still very difficult. Coupled with the power of burning the divine body to transform, it was very unstable. And now the divine body had begun to fall. In addition to the divine body, there is also the origin, the desperately fighting Hui Qing. Even the origin burned without scruple, causing the dragon's expression to change. No matter how much the divine body burns, even if the foundation is damaged, it can be repaired, but the origin is different. Once a defect occurs, it cannot be restored. Jian Wushuang has the power of life and can't restore the origin of the indigenous emperor. Long Yi, who cherishes his talent, couldn't bear to see Hui Qing break the path of the strong, and immediately broke out, showing all his strength. The Zhenlong spear swept across, directly sweeping Hui Qing, who was burning the divine body, into two. Then he shook his empty hand and shouted angrily, "Down!" Hui Qing, who was preparing to work hard, suddenly felt that the whole person had become very light, and his consciousness was also blurred, and it felt like he had fallen into a bottomless abyss. Hui Qing still couldn't stop Long Yi's terrifying methods. The two figures appeared, and Long Yi was intact as before, but the aura on his body was stronger, and his complete combat power made the entire human world tremble. But Hui Qing only had two mutilated bodies left, and the divine body was completely shattered, leaving no trace, but the origin was still intact. It's just that his own consciousness has fallen into a deep sleep, which is the consequence of being injured too seriously. Once the origin drops to 30%, it will automatically fall asleep. Jiang Shang, who was hiding under the willow tree, found that he could not feel the breath of the master, and his eyes turned red. She, who was supposed to be distraught with grief and indignation, didn't even cry for some reason. Just standing there quietly, staring at the two bodies floating in the air. She held her hand slightly, and a green light radiated from her body. If Jian Wushuang saw it, she would definitely be shocked. Life force. At this time, a huge amount of life force emerged in Jiang Shang's body. In her origin, the grass and wood spirit, holding his paws, said in a weak body, "Master, I'm so sleepy." The spirit of vegetation exhausted his strength to elevate Jiang Shang's origin to the extreme. In Jiang Shang's original space, countless black holes were born without a single star. These black holes continued to swallow and evolve, and finally turned into a complete space, a very real space. The spirit of grass and trees used his own life to help Jiang Shang directly master the universe. Today's Jiang Shang has been promoted to the top, and still in the universe, a Khonshu, the ultimate realm of calm promotion. The strength is stronger than the absolute pinnacle that created the secret of the universe, especially her origin, which is very special, but inherits the origin of the spirit of vegetation. That vitality comes from the spirit of vegetation. Born life. Let go of him. Jiang Shang's voice was cold, his head slightly lowered, his figure rose and stood in front of Long Yi. That life force was directly injected into Hui Qing's body. The originally mutilated body began to heal. It's just that this life force is not complete and cannot cure the root cause. So Hui Qing is still in a coma. Although Long Yi was surprised at this, the other party actually had the power of life, which was too strange. The reason for staying with Hui Qing was because of his own person. Facing Jiang Shang, Long Yi would not keep anything. The opponent's strength suddenly soared so much for some reason, but it was fine. The current Jiang Shang is comparable to Hui Qing, just now, not even as good as Hui Qing, which is nothing to Long Yi. Little girl. Long Yi's words were not finished yet. The next moment, his eyes burst. A burst of force instantly penetrated his chest, and he looked down and saw that it was Jiang Shang. With just one finger, it directly penetrated the cyan armor, and a hole appeared in the chest. Long Yi didn't react, and his breath had begun to weaken. The blow just now caused him injury, not only the physical injury, but also his origin. This. Long Yi stepped back, pointing at Jiang Shang, and said in horror, "How is it possible?" Jiang Shang's complexion was cold, and he did not give Long Yi a chance to relax. He shot again, and the red long sleeves flew behind him, rushing towards Long Yi. At this moment, she didn't even know it, and before she knew it, she already had the power of the Tribulation Realm. Chapter 55-71. But she is just a newcomer. It was the power of plants and trees that released her own life force, and she had only reached the pinnacle, but now she was able to hurt Long Yi and even crush it. Long Yi's defenses were so terrifying. Jie Jing tried to hurt Long Yi, but he didn't expect that he would be injured by a little girl today, and he would still be beaten under pressure. Long red sleeves wrapped around Long Yi, making him immobile. Jiang Shang raised his hand again and pointed out the space shattered, and the dry bones on the ruins began to rise. The world fades. Long Yi, who was by Wawada, yelled, Yulong Shangbin. This is the secret method of the peak of the universe specially created for him by Qishan. How could it be that simple? Boom. The red sleeves that trapped him burst instantly, and Long Yi broke free. After breaking free from the restraints, Long looked a little embarrassed and said with relief, "No wonder. No wonder Lord True Spirit wants to suppress you. He understands now. Understand thoroughly." Long Yi didn't look at Jiangshang, but at the afterimage behind Jiangshang. A towering giant tree stands behind Jiangshang. No wonder Jiangshang's strength is so strong. It turns out that he still has a helper. Long Yi recognizes that willow tree, that is the willow god of the forest of 10,000 treasures. That is the real master of the universe. Lu Shen, originally an ordinary willow tree in Mo Luo time and space, was later enlightened by Qishan because a person who was very important to Qishan was buried under this willow tree. With the help of the gods, that ordinary willow tree transformed into a spirit and created the forest of 10,000 treasures. In the end, he mastered a universe and became the master of the universe. After the fall of the gods, the forest of the gods was moved to the temple of the gods of the gods. Later, the consciousness of the willow appeared in the forest of the gods, and that consciousness was not the same as the willow they knew, and after this consciousness appeared, then revived some of the spirits of vegetation in the forest of 10,000 treasury. This real spirit couldn't bear this at all, so a group of strong men were sent to open up wasteland and slaughter the forest of 10,000 hiddens. Eventually, the willow god appeared, and the real spirit also ended. There will be a shocking battle. I didn't expect to be alive. Long Yi immediately passed the news to Junling. It's a big matter, and it's beyond his ability. The origin of the sea. Junling opened his eyes and said to himself, "Humph, I know you are not dead." On the chessboard, he placed a piece again, this time in the first prison. Fuego has reached the pinnacle. Now Frosa and Frosa are preparing to leave the first prison. That touch of picture finally fixed on Jian Wushuang, the true spirit deity of the Sea of Origin, leaking a smile. Then transmission, Long Yi, you come back. Don't worry about this matter. When Long heard this, he was a little puzzled, but he didn't really want to do this kind of thing at first, and did not hesitate to put away his breath. He glanced at Hui Qing, thinking about taking Hui Qing away to help him restore his origin, but when he thought that Jiangshang was still watching him, with the help of God Lu, he wanted to take Hui Qing away, but he didn't have that strength. Little girl, although I don't know why you got the help of Lu Shen, I advise you to break the relationship with it. Otherwise Hui Qing will never have peace. After Long Yi left this sentence, he directly tore the space. Leave instantly. Jiangshang was naturally not in the mood to chase the other person, but she kept that sentence in her heart. Master will never have peace. Call. She turned around cautiously, looked at the towering giant tree behind the sky, and was stunned. The next moment, the giant tree collapsed. Jiangshang's whole body was shocked, followed by a violent backlash. His body was weakened to the extreme, and he fell from the extreme realm back to the Sixth Order Emperor. The strength just now does not belong to her, but the universe is still real, and as long as she recovers, she will still be the strongest. It's just that Master Hui Qing was still in a coma, and she didn't think much about it. With the unconscious master, she also left the ruins. For a while, the ruins fell into silence again, and the black mist gradually fell. In the dark fog, if you look closely, you will see a wooden boat slowly drifting over. On the wooden boat, there is also a hat with a round pointed head and a light lantern in his hand. That light lantern is very similar to the guardian of the Tomb of the Gods, but the strength of the two is very different. Life, the old man on the canoe whispered. His face looked haggard when he looked up close. With a murmur, the wooden boat disappeared. No one knew what happened, not even the true spirit in the Sea of Origin. As for Jiangshang, he is just an ordinary sixth-order emperor now, and he has never found a trace of strangeness. All the aura in the ruins disappeared, and those who paid attention to this place came to the top of the human world. Gone. It seems that the appearance of the third, strong man broke the deadlock. What a pity! These people obviously haven't watched it. After staying here for a short time, these people also dispersed. The human world fell into peace again. Swish! In the human world that had just calmed down, a group of strong people appeared again, and they were stronger than the aura just now, but these people were converging their auras, covered by a light and shadow. No one noticed it. Finally figured it out. I have waited for this day, for countless epochs. It was the Frosa and others who appeared here, along with Jian Wushuang and the avatar of true spirit, as well as Zhuangzhong, the strong man in the robbery realm. Fuigo was nothing. When he was suppressed, only consciousness was left, and he didn't feel anything. The gods are different. He was trapped in the ghost place of the first prison, trapped in countless epochs, and now he breathed the breath of the human world for the first time. At this moment, no matter how much he paid, it was worth it. Even the air feels very sweet. It's a pity that there are ruins below. If you go to the east and see a forest where the air is sweeter. Zhenling was a little impatient on the side, urging, well, the breath of the primitive universe is sweeter. Let's go. When he said that, he opened a cosmic channel and went out along the channel which was the original universe. Enter the universe. Tear space at will. You can enter the long river of time and space. At that time, they are truly free. Where's the Masa? Don't forget him. Fuigo reminded him from the side. At this time, a crack appeared in the space again, and a Taoist in yellow robe, holding a giant egg in his hands, walked out of the crack. The visitor is Wuzhua. Now it's all together. Zhenling joked from the side. Frosa went lazily to talk to Zhenling, motioned for Fuigo to take it, and turned to look at Jian Wushuang. This time, it was possible to get out of trouble so smoothly, but Jian Wushuang was all about it. Not only helped the two of them recover, but also brought him into peace talks with the true spirit. Even if Jian Wushuang could not be taken away, he had to have a close friendship. Jian Wushuang's potential is not weak for the giant gods. He will definitely become a catastrophe in the future, and the Lord of the Universe will not be difficult, and there will still be a chance to meet again in the outside world. Chapter 55-72. This time, thanks to Brother Wushuang. Frosa's old brother directly pulled his relationship with Jian Wushuang to the nearest. Jian Wushuang was a little awkward, but he was still very happy when he thought that the other party would get out soon. Half of the reason he has gotten here today is due to the Frosa, and half is due to Yuzhuo. They are all giant pits, the plague god. Jian Wushuang would not take the diligence of the gods seriously, nor did he dare to take it seriously. The true spirit next to him was still watching. He could not be too enthusiastic or humble. Since the other party wants to be equal to him, he is not welcome. With a dry cough, he said, "It's a small matter. Simple and clear is the best, and Zhenling would like to see it. This is not a trivial matter. I owe you a favor in private. When you encounter it in the future, don't be polite if you are not used to it. Even if you are not used to it, come to me at any time. Hold the card. Anyone who encounters my giant clan strong, as long as you take out this token, there is no danger." This is very domineering, but even the real spirit does not suspect that the other party is exaggerating. The giant gods really have this strength. Jian Wushuang also understood that there was a slight movement for a while, but the other party's words clearly meant to devalue the temple of Qishan. He hesitated for a while, whether to take it or not to take it. "Since I've given it all, you can accept it." Zhenling saw Jian Wushuang's entanglement on the side, and he was a little more generous and took the initiative to help Jian Wushuang to get through the siege. Only then did Jian Wushuang dare to accept the token, and at the same time bowed and thanked the true spirit. The matter has reached this point, and it can be regarded as a complete ending. The strongest black hand shrouded in the 4 secret realms is about to withdraw from the history of the Temple of Qixin. The unlucky Frosa, the cold-hearted Jago, and the unhatched Fulmas, 3 powerful giants, walked into the passage. Frosa looked back and then went straight into the passage. Since his birth, he has spent most of his time in the Temple of Qixin, which is also his first hometown. Jian Wushuang looked at their backs and heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. The true spirit is very relaxed on the side, finally sending these people away, and the 4 secret realms in the future will restore calm and completely become the back garden of the inheritors. As for the bigger troubles, it was in purgatory, and he had no choice but to take one step at a time. Wow. After Zhenling put away the passage, he turned to look at the few people left by Frosa. In addition to Jian Wushuang, there are also the great elder of the Maluo kingdom and several emperors. It wasn't a threat to it, but since it was a dead warrior, there was no need to keep it, and the emperors turned into fans in the wave of hands. Elder Emo Luo's body was shocked. He was not a dead man. He had known that there would be such a day for a long time. He did not resist, but closed his eyes. Wait. Jian Wushuang brazenly stood up and said, Master True Spirit, he is not a dead man. Can you kill him and let him go to the mine to make up for the big mistake? Seeing this, Wu Zhuo hurriedly cooperated with Jian Wushuang and said, Master True Spirit, this time I want a complete victory. These robbers, young people, let the subordinates come down and solve it. The elder of Maluo Nation, although there is no fear in his heart, he also wants to live in his heart. Right now, I felt grateful for Jian Wushuang and Wu Zhuo. Zhenling squinted at Wu Zhuo, only to make Wu Zhuo close his mouth and step aside. But it's just an absolute top. Since he has mentioned it, there is no need to add another massacre. Among the inheritors now, whether it was Hui Qing he had been optimistic about before, or Jian Wushuang that he hadn't been optimistic about, he was offended one by one. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang said that he sent some treasures and kept them for use. But Hui Qing is different. She has a hard time. At that time, it took such a high price to cultivate, and as a result, it cultivated a scourge. I don't know if there is a ghost around. To Jiangshang, the true spirit is not soft, and this threat is greater than that of the giant gods. Dealing with the giant gods, you can also defeat and deal with it head-on, but the original true spirit in Jiangshang's body is of the same kind as him. What if he is suddenly taken away that day? However, now he has paid attention. If this is the case, then spare his life. As for the mine, you don't need to go to the mine. Let's follow Jian Wushuang as a guardian. What happened last time can't happen again, Zhenling said with emotion, as if I feel like I almost lost a general. Wu Zhuo was surprised to hear from the side, and he was even more certain that Jian Wushuang would definitely be the master of the Temple of Qixin in the future. Otherwise, the true spirit would not be able to save Jian Wushuang at such a price. Secretly decided in his heart that he must hug Jian Wushuang, the future nobleman. He thought all this was the merit of Zhenling. If he knew that in the first prison, Zhenling would have almost handed Jian Wushuang to his hand. He didn't know what he would think. Jian Wushuang, who knew everything, didn't think so. Zhenling was suddenly so polite. Maybe there was nothing good. This time he will no longer believe in the words of the true spirit. Even if Kam beat him to death, he will not stop. By the way, these special lives are all escorted to Mayin Mountain and given to Mayin. Only then did Zhenling realize that there are still a group of people with more headaches to solve. Behind him, there are dozens of special beings with outstanding combat power. Originally planned to keep them in the first prison, but after discovering the situation in the purgatory, I dare not leave these people there. What if there are problems again? As for what he originally promised, he would not fulfill his promise. The true spirit pointed to Zhuangzhong, a strong robbery realm on the side, and said, "You go too. Look at these guys. When are you willing to take the magic circle, and when will you let them out?" After hearing those special beings, their complexion changed drastically. You can't do it if you want to open your mouth. Zhuangzhong has now become of the true spirit. Without any complaints, he can only do so. It's good to be able to come out. When Wu Zhuo heard Zhuangzhong's name, he was a little surprised. He knew each other, and they happened to be on the way, so he approached. Once a disciple of Qixin, Zhuangzhong also naturally knew Wu Zhuo. Since the two are the same master, the two are also considered to be compatible. On the ruins, there are only 3 people left at this time: Zhenling Jian Wushuang and the great elder Mo Luo. Thanks, Tusk, this time you did make a great contribution. You can go directly to the Senate Palace to get the origin of everything. Don't worry, no one will embarrass you. Zhenling said seriously. This time Jian Wushuang chose to believe in the other party, but there was nothing he could do if he didn't believe it. The true spirit turned his head and signaled the elder of Maluo Kingdom to retreat first, and then arranged the next enchantment and cautiously said, "I have one more thing here I want to remind you." Jian Wushuang heard the words and leaned over, and the two whispered to each other, making Jian Wushuang's complexion completely sink. Chapter 55-73. Is there such a thing? True Spirit nodded with a sigh, and sighed. I also just learned that the cause and effect you left behind in the realm is so great that the little girl is now able to seriously hurt Long Yi. Nun Long Yi is an opponent. Jian Wushuang was shocked. A little thing that he didn't care about at the beginning would turn out to be like this. From Zhenling's mouth, he learned that Jiangshang was taking Huiqing and looking for him everywhere. He was about to avenge his blood and hatred. Long Yi, who couldn't stand it, personally went to make peace, but was seriously injured and retreated by Jiangshang. It's over now. Jian Wushuang's heart was a little frustrated. If he were a Sixth Order Emperor, he would not be afraid. How strong would he be able to severely hurt Long Yi's supreme peak? He is not an opponent at all. At the same time, he was surprised that this matter was a disaster for him, but for the true spirit, it was a matter between juniors, so he needed to be so careful. This made him a little skeptical, and his eyes stared at the true spirit with a little disbelief. True Spirit straightened up with a dry cough behind his hands and continued, "I'm not hiding it from you. In order to find revenge for you, Jiangshang went to the forest of 10,000 treasures and stole a forbidden fruit, so that his strength will skyrocket because we, for the sake of Qing, am not good at doing it. So I ask you to help, but all this is because of you, and you have to be responsible to the end." I'm responsible. Jian Wushuang's head suddenly got big. Because of Huiqing's relationship, if true spirit is not able to make a move, is he easy to make a move? Even if he is good to come forward, he is not an opponent. Isn't this asking him to die? Master Zhenling doesn't know that Huiqing is my life and death relationship. Jian Wushuang didn't want to take the pot, turned his head to the side. His heart was firm, and he was unyielding. He and Huiqing are really life and death brothers. How many catastrophes they have faced together. How could they go to him? Zhenling continued to persuade. It's not for you to deal with Huiqing, but for you to eradicate Jiangshang. My lord, don't fool me. Where am I her opponent? Why don't you go to death? Jian Wushuang was also big-headed. Zhenling hurriedly waved his hand and said, No, she is also seriously injured now, and her strength has fallen to the Sixth Order Emperor, and Huiqing is still asleep. This is a great opportunity. Then I won't go either. Jian Wushuang had already determined that there was nothing good, and directly rejected true spirit. Wow! A light and shadow appeared in the hands of the true spirit, making Jian Wushuang on the side shocked, thinking that the true spirit was going to act on him frantically. The face of the true spirit is extremely wretched under the light and shadow, especially the two bean-sized eyeballs. You don't have to go, but this top-level Hadao treasure, I'm going to give it to others. And I want to remind you that I won't intervene in the battle between the juniors. You killed the Emperor Xiantian. I didn't say anything. When Jiang Shang recovers his strength, I will seek revenge from you. I want care. Zhenling almost wrote the word threat on his face. There is no reason to give a candy first and then hit a stick. Jian Wushuang grabbed the crystal ball in the light and shadow, biting and not saying a word. A trace of thought power is indeed some treasures and experience needed for the Tao, but it is too far away from the inheritor of Huiqing when he is in the Three Kings Court, compared with scrap copper and rotten iron. But something is better than nothing. He is now on the verge of being on the verge of harmony, which is a help in the snow for him. Of course, this benefit is not enough. Jian Wushuang casually put the crystal ball into the mustard seed. This time his receipt is actually not small. Excluding this crystal ball, his beast weapon has been restored, and with the unique improvement of the giant gods, it has now reached the complete level. The origin of the beast and of the body, that drop of beast god's blood, also played a key role. I also got some information about the outside world from the gods, which is of infinite value, but these were all given to him by the gods. The true spirit took a broken crystal ball and wanted to send him, but it was not that easy. As for the origin of everything, it was originally his, and naturally it was not a reward given, so he began to think about some needs. Treasure, prepare to blackmail the true spirit severely. I can think about it. There are too few things to ask for. His divine body doesn't need to be improved anymore. With the origin of all things, the spatial realm can also break through the black hole realm. In the end, the state of mind is left, but this can't rely on foreign objects. When he solves the growing causal killings, he should also be able to break through. If you don't have any needs, just mention the external ones. He once asked the gods whether King White had fallen. From the gods, he learned that King White had fallen only as a clone. The deity fell in ancient times. One thing is that the deity of King White fell in the Temple of Qixin in ancient times and can be revived by the Sea of Origin. But the White King who had revived the ancient times, the other party did not know him at all. Call. Jian Wushuang sighed. Originally, he had thought about reviving Nie Yuan. He realized the essence of the ultimate kendo from Nie Yuan's origin. Kendo has been following from the end to the present day, and he is about to greet his path to consummation. He has a deep affection for kendo, and he is even more grateful to those who help him gain the Tao. If he can recover Nie Yuan, he is still willing to pay a price, not as good as this opportunity to blackmail the true spirit. Unfortunately, when Nie Yuan summoned the power of the starry sky, he himself returned to the starry sky, unable to resurrect at all. It's okay to go. It's just Master True Spirit. I have two small requests here. I don't know. Jian Wu was solemn, staring at True Spirit in a serious tone. Zhen Ling was startled, thinking that Jian Wushuang was about to speak loudly to the lion, and quickly backed away and twisted. Jian Wushuang, I'm just a true spirit. Don't look at the power, but am actually empty. Treasures, you have to find Zhui Yao. What she has is, I tell you, you just say. Zhen Ling was so scared that he talked about Zhui's privacy and asked Jian Wushuang to threaten Zhui with treasures. Jian Wushuang was very speechless. If he wanted to do this, he might be ruled by the Lord of the Vermilion Bird Palace. Moreover, his two requirements are not for treasures. My lord, you have misunderstood. I don't want treasures. I just resurrect a person. Jian Wushuang said his appeal. Zhen Ling breathed a sigh of relief when he heard it, waved his hand, and said, "Say, how many people are needed? This is too simple." When he resurrected the emperor, he was revived batch by batch. For the Sea of Origin, there was no burden. If it were someone else, he might make things difficult for him, but now he is Qiu Jian Wushuang, and he has broken the precedent. 1. Jian Wushuang stretched out a finger, his eyes tough. Since he entered the temple of Qixin, he has not many friends. Except for Hui Qing, it was King Bai who really fought all the battles. Although King Bai had plots against him at the beginning, he gradually came into contact with him. The two were both teachers and friends, and they taught him a lot. Chapter 55-74. Mr. White. Zhen Ling frowned and said, "Why are you resurrecting him?" Zhen Ling felt slightly, and only discovered the real body of King Bai from the ancient times. Even if he was resurrected, he would not know Jian Wushuang. I promised him that I would give him a chance to reach the top again. Now I understand the cause and effect. Jian Wushuang said vaguely, "The vows of the two were also because of this. Unfortunately, it was finally calculated by Frosa, and King White became the ration for Fuego's resurrection. All this is fate. Now that he has the opportunity to resurrect the original White King, he can be regarded as helping the other party, even if he does not remember him. Well, since you are persistent, I can help you achieve it. Let's talk about the next one." Zhen Ling kneaded his beard. These things are not difficult for him. They are all things that can be done with hands. The second requirement is even simpler. Gong Miaoyi. She is also a person who can't be more miserable. I'm afraid she is still in prison in the Senate Palace at this time. Release Gong Miaoyi. Jian Wushuang said calmly, although the opponent betrayed him more than once for the sake of Nie Yuan, he should also give him a freedom. If there is a chance, he will throw the opponent out of the Temple of Qi and give her a world. No problem. True Spirit promised. This matter is actually not a requirement. Jian Wushuang can go and release Gong Miaoyi himself. It's just that Gong Miaoyi's collusion with the Frosa will be criticized, and the real Spirit's shot has solved some unnecessary troubles. Zhen Ling patted Jian Wushuang on the shoulder and said, "Then I'm waiting for your good news." Fortunately, not insulting one's life. Jian Wushuang was not happy. Some things will be broken sooner or later. If his strength is strong, don't care about it at all, but now that the opponent has grown to this point, he has to get rid of Jiang Shang. The blame is that the opponent's strength has increased too quickly. Hui Qing. An electric arc flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes. After all, it was Hui Qing's disciple who was killed. After the true spirit left, the elder of Mo Luo Kingdom flew over and bowed before him and said, "The subordinate Mo Luo has seen the young master." Mo Luo was still very grateful for Jian Wushuang to help him intercede. Now that the gods are gone, he has nowhere to go. It would be better to follow Jian Wushuang. As for the Mo Luo Kingdom in the realm, there is no concern. "You don't need to follow me," Jian Wushuang said. Mo Luo couldn't afford to bow, and respectfully said, "If the young master is not at ease, I can take the oath of life." Jian Wushuang shook his head. This is unnecessary. But before the other party waited for him to respond, he directly made his natal oath. He is not worried about the loyalty of the opponent, but he is rising fast now, and the guardian of the most powerful force is of no use to him. Now that the is gone, no one will threaten him. Moreover, Mo Luo is only a strong native of the natives, and he does not know as many things as him, and it is indeed of no great use. If that's the case, then follow me first. The other party was so determined that he didn't say much. According to the guidance given by the true spirit, Jiangshang took Huiqing and hid in the secret realm of the human world. He had to solve the trouble before he could return to the realm of heaven, remove the cause and effect, go to the Mahayana Lingshan, get the heart of the beast god, and then you will be left with Hedao. All right. Jian Wushuang's eyebrows were like swords, his aura changed. And by the way, he wrapped the Mo Luo's aura, heading directly to the west of the human realm. As he got closer to Hedao, his mood became more plain as water. It has been millions of years since he came to the Temple of Qishan. His speed is actually not fast, and now he is only a Taoist monarch. There are still many people who practice faster than him. For example, Huiqing has now succeeded in becoming an emperor in harmony. Among their first group of inheritors, the Tao sovereign of the ultimate way has the most. Today, more than 10 people have succeeded in Kotao, and half of them have failed in Kotao. Among the remaining Tao monarchs, some are not confident, and more still want to go to the ultimate path to perfection, and then go to the Tao, each asking for a great deal. Tomb God Mountain, there are thousands of ultimate Tao monarchs. Very few can succeed in the consummation, except for Huiqing, there are only 1 or 2 successful. This road is too difficult, but if you succeed, you can step into the 5th Order Emperor in 1 step, you can quickly enter the 6th Order Emperor, and then directly go to the secret method, and find the universe secret method that suits you. Once the universe secret method is created, it will be the ultimate combat power. The cultivation rhythm of the Emperor is faster than that of the Taoist. The tribulation realm is faster. The Emperor has no time limit at least, but the tribulation realm is full of disasters, and you can't hide it. The road to the strong is getting more and more bumpy, but it has never been difficult for practitioners like them. Boom! The huge air wave washed away the oceans, lakes, and mountains. Jian Wushuang and Mo Luo reached the western part of the human world in just 3 days. After seeing the scene in front of him, Jian Wushuang understood why the human world's secret realm had nothing to do with the 4 secret realms. The western part of the human world is an endless desert covering a quarter of the human world. To the east is the ancient ruins, which occupies another quarter. There are only 2 better lands left, and half of them are controlled by the monster clan. Okanshu, it is too difficult for Terran practitioners to stand up in the secret realm of the human world. Practicing resources are even scarce. In this desert, there is nothing wrong with cultivation, but there are no resources. It's not like a land boundary, an endless frontier, and unlimited resources. It's not as peaceful as the heavens. There are so many ancient forces. The resources are also very saturated, enough for internal consumption, and even surplus. The human world is different. Not only is there insufficient resources, but most of them are monopolized by some strong people alone, and the bottom-level practitioners are miserable. The number of immortals is less than 1/10 of that of the realm, but the number of mortals is comparable to the realm of heaven. This suffices to show that the strong among the practitioners has already had a fault. With such a small number of immortals, there are very few who can have the resources to cultivate to the day of immortals. As for the emperor, it is even a fantasy. As a result, Jian Wushuang passed all the way. His thought power covered hundreds of thousands of miles around, but few emperors were found, and most of these emperors were in retreat, almost passing through the most prosperous central continent of the human world, and they didn't even see one. The battle of the emperor. This is peace. This is clearly a morbid supply and demand problem. Each emperor occupies resources and cultivates alone, regardless of the life or death of outside practitioners. And the sect is even less pitiful. Moreover, the entrance threshold of the sect is extremely high, only recruiting some children of the emperor's family. And those big forces have a monopoly on even the ordinary sects, so that casual cultivators have no room for survival. Mo Luo saw Jian Wushuang's doubts and explained, "Young master, the human world is like this. I once visited a human world who is not weaker than me. He once said that he does not control resources. There will be fewer strong people in the human world. It's better to concentrate these resources on a group of people. There were those strong people who were invaded by the earth that day to guard the human world." Chapter 55, 75. But the Earth realm simply doesn't look at such a barren human realm secret realm. These words are deceiving those casual cultivators, so that the strength of the family power in the human realm has soared in these years, but every one of the casual cultivators can rise. This is a bit interesting. Jian Wushuang nodded, not to agree with the other party, but to feel that the person was too shameless. It shouldn't be the original intention to concentrate resources and give them all to those big families. Initially, it was estimated that the resources were concentrated to cultivate practitioners with better talents and potentials. In the end, family power appeared and began to monopolize the resources that were surrendered, so that the path of casual repair was completely eliminated. In front of the avenue, everyone has a chance. Why did he admit his fate so early? It's not good to give up too early. He has seen strong late bloomers and cannot always admit his fate. Tier Heaven Emperor's potential is weak enough. If it weren't for the beasts, I'm afraid Cheng Dian would be struggling. But in the end, the Fifth Order Peak Emperor, Apprentice Taisan, is expected to be the Sixth Order Emperor, although he was at odds with the opponent, and even killed the opponent with his own hands. Those who should be admired should still be admired. Others have this ability, and their success has nothing to do with their potential. There is luck and hard work. Luck alone can't go that far. The universe is uncertain. Everyone is a strong future. Jian Wushuang resolutely said, "I want to keep these words." Mo Luo was stunned for a moment, and then promised, "No problem. That great person in the human world. It's nothing. He dare not offend the young master. The temple of the human world is almost just decoration, and there are no strong people, because the human world has no struggle at all. It's just the commonplace that fights against the commonplace. And the commonplace is the law of the temple, so there is no meaning to intervene at all. Although there is a battle between Yenxian, it is also beyond the bottom line. As for the emperors, each sits firmly on the Golden Mountain and the Silver Mountain. They don't need to fight or fight at all. As long as the strength breaks through, we will go to the greater Jinshan Yinshan. Of course, it is difficult to break through without eating and taking drugs all the time. Go now." Jian Wushuang turned around and returned directly to the continent in the center of the human world. Mo Luo also followed behind. The core of the human world, God continent. This continent is 1/10 the size of the human world, accommodating some of the strongest people in the human world. However, there are very few strong people here. Although there are the best resources, the number of practitioners is very scarce. Often there are only millions of people in a city. If this is placed in the central state continent at the core of the heavenly realm, there will be more than 100 million practitioners in any city. Jian Wuming gradually sank. Since mastering the power of life, he has gradually begun to study life together, and his thoughts have also changed. Seeing this practice that goes against the laws of all things makes me feel very uncomfortable. Natural selection. Practitioners are to compete. What the temple suppressed in the realm was those who slaughtered the powerhouses of the magic path, or the forces that disobeyed. But I never said that fighting is not allowed. He didn't know why the temple would be so indifferent to the realm. I don't know if this will ruin the human world. In this way, where is the meaning of life? Where is the direction of practice? He is going to open up a path to the strong for everyone in the human world. the holy mountain of the human world, Fengmen Mountain. Here is the Fengshan Gate, one of the three ancient forces in the human world Jian Wushuang, and Mo Luo did not suppress their own breath, but appeared directly on the top of this so-called holy mountain. Looking down, the world is full of attitudes. The holy mountain is divided into 3 levels. The first layer is the ordinary people, the second layer is Yanxian, Dianxian, Daojun, and the third layer is the strongest core of Fengshaman, living with tens of thousands of emperors. Go and see below. Mo Luo naturally had no opinion, and the two landed to the first floor of the Fengshan Gate. Looking up here, with a mundane posture, you can't see the top of the mountain at all, only the thick clouds. Outside the mountain gate, a lot of people gathered at this time because today is the entrance examination of Fengmen Mountain once every 100 years. At this time, the people gathered outside. All extraordinary are all children of the emperor's family. They either took huge alien beasts or flew in, surrounded by strong escorts. Jian Wushuang and Mo Luo arrived, and those ordinary people couldn't feel their existence at all. But those sixth-order emperors at the top of the mountain suddenly discovered that there are 2 strange superpowers outside their mountain gate. The human world is so big, there are few strong people, and most of the emperors have names and surnames, especially the sixth-order emperor and the absolute powerhouse. That is not Megatron Quartet. It has its own territory. It is impossible for strangers to appear. Although there are occasional strong men from the realm who go through the human world to the tomb of the gods, they generally do not stay there. They also know that the human world is barren, and those strong people simply don't like it. Notify the sect master. The aura of the black-robed old man is obviously an absolute powerhouse, and it is not something we can handle. After several elders in Fengmenshan discussed, they first notified the sect master, and then the great elder went to hold each other. At this time, the gatekeeper of Fengmen Mountain was still in the northern part of the human world. It was a rare event to watch the strong men in the eastern ruins fight and gather a group of strong men. Naturally, it was indispensable. Said it is talking about the Tao. In fact, it is a group of old guys killing time and heading to a very prosperous island in the north to have fun. When the news from the sect was received, the sect master couldn't sit still. There had just been a big battle in the eastern ruins, and an unknown superpower appeared on Fengmen Mountain. If there is any connection between the two, but it's a big deal. After telling the matter to a few others, everyone was ready to leave together to check it out. Most of the top powerhouses in the human world are close relatives, and when there is an emergency, they will hug each other. When the special life in the tomb of the gods struck, they all dealt with it together. Although it's useless, it's not too difficult to protect your fate. Let's go and see who is really related to the eastern ruins. This matter has to be notified to the great lord. Fengmenshan, sect master said, with some worry. When the rest of the strongest people heard about the great venerable, their expressions changed. They were the number 1 strongest in the human world. The pinnacle among the peaks, the cosmic mystery created, has reached an incredible level, even a character who can rank in the top of the earth. Even the current pattern of the human world was laid out by the great master himself. Sect master, it's better not to bother the great lord about this matter, or go and check it out first. Some people think it's not right. After all, it's just a mysterious superstar. There are a group of them here. If there is a superstar, they have to move out of the great master, and it shouldn't be exhausted. Although the sect master of Fengmen Mountain was not at ease, he could think about it again. Because of this matter, it was indeed a bit wrong to let the great master come forward. Chapter 55, 76. Maybe it was the shadow of a cup bough and a snake. The battle just now scared everyone's courage. This is the case of the human world without fighting. there is scrupulousness in everything, and it does not want to be like the former, and has the spirit of not admitting defeat. Broly slaughtered all over the land boundary, and millions of years of slaughter still did not change the status quo of the land boundary. If it were placed in the human world, it would have surrendered long ago. After discussing it, the few of them stood up together and headed to the sacred mountain in the central mainland. At this time, Jian Wushuang and Mo Luo were floating in low altitude, looking at the entry assessment once every 100 years below. The people who design this kind of assessment are also very interesting. Let some disciples in the sect dress up as casual cultivators and cooperate with those family children in the assessment. Every time they were assessed, it seemed that casual cultivators had entered Fengmen Mountain just like those family children, but they were all behind them. There is simply no casual repair that can enter Fengmen Mountain. The ordinary assessment is also very simple, but it is just a simple test. It does not identify their respective potentials or stimulate their potential. Not even the original trial screening, especially the black box operation. There are actually quite a few casual cultivators who can come here, but without the help of resources, the strength is very weak, the strong are few, and even fewer can be comparable to those of the family's children. Even if it is comparable, it will allow these true casual cultivators to compete with those disguised casual cultivators. The Fengmenshan disciple who pretends to be a casual cultivator, although his strength is only that, can deal with those real casual cultivators with a crushing attitude. On the ring, a true casual cultivator named Xianjiu was the strongest one in this entry test, even stronger than those of the family. His skin is dark, his body has been refined to the extreme, and ordinary methods can't break his defenses. Unfortunately, this time he drew lots against a Fengmenshan disciple who pretended to be a casual repairer. The realm and strength of the Fengmenshan disciple surpassed Xianjiu's cognition. Song. A sword came out, as fast as thunder. Many spectators couldn't see the shadow of the sword. When the sword stopped, a blood dance splashed on the ring. Burst sword. A family kid's eyes shrank, very surprised. Being able to use the burst sword proves that he has developed sword aura. A casual cultivator, able to display sword aura, made their family children a little ashamed. This year's casual cultivator is too strong. Neither of these two people I meet is an opponent. A girl from a big family touched her accessories, her expression worried. An old man standing behind her raised the corners of his mouth and said with a smile, "Want to enter Fengmen Mountain is not based solely on strength. Look at that person named Xianjiu. Isn't he quite unlucky?" The girl was not happy when she thought of this, but rather regretfully said, "With such a strong strength, it is a casual cultivator. It would be a shame not to enter Fengmen Mountain." Most of these family children were born only 100 years ago, and they have very little knowledge of the world. So naturally, they don't know some of the methods of closing the mountain. But the old man knew that he had also come from this step, but he hadn't attained the Tao to become an immortal. After cultivating for 100,000 years on Fengmen Mountain, he went down the mountain, return to the family, and teach the younger generation of the family. Hearing the girl's regret, the old man was stunned for a moment, surprised at the human nature. Then his complexion recovered, thinking of something, and then he said, "It's not a pity that they can't get in because they can't get in. It's impossible." "Oh." The girl nodded seemingly and didn't think much. "But that seed of destiny is buried in my heart. The battle on the ring is basically one-sided. Among the family's children, there are few sides, and most of them sit on the mountain and watch the tiger fight. The casual cultivator's side, however, saw his brow furrowed slightly. A casual cultivator who is not weak said in a low voice, "The guy who uses the sword is too ruthless. Everyone is a casual cultivator. It's necessary." Unfortunately, Brother Exingio, I thought he would enter Foammen Mountain this time, but I didn't expect to kill a sword master halfway through. It's nothing. There is a sky outside the sky, and there are people outside the world. At least this time, out of the 10 places, 4 of our casual cultivators have entered Foammen Mountain. In the past, there were 2, at most 3. It seems that in the future, our casual cultivators will be even better. What? After the rest of the casual cultivators heard this, there was a trace of comfort in their hearts, and they all said, "Yes, those family children, that is, they have more resources than us. If we all have the same resources, they are not necessarily the number of 10 places. How many can stand?" In midair, Jian Wushuang watched all this and shook his head silently. This kind of non-existent hope is the most disintegrating. There was a trace of murderous in the eyes that Mo Luo looked at from the side. "Why, even you, a strong demon road, can't stand it anymore." Jian Wushuang was a little surprised. Mo Luo Kingdom was walking through the demon path, and this demon elder was naturally also a strong demon road. Mo Luo shook his head and said, "Young master, you are wrong, wrong." Jian Wushuang couldn't figure it out and asked in confusion, "What's wrong?" He really wanted to hear the truth of the elder of the Maluo Kingdom. "Young master, do you know where we are born in the magic way?" Mo Luo sighed. "Almost all of us are casual cultivators, and some of the family children are all those who go to the magic way. It's because of the injustice of the family. They are not born with the magic way, nor are they without a heart. In fact, they are the same as the right way, but the way is different. The injustice of the clan will be judged by the patriarch and the patriarch, but who will judge the injustice of the casual cultivator?" Mo Luo became more and more angry, and some bloodshot eyes appeared in his eyes. "It's not that we are willing to go to the devil's way, but that we are forced to go to the devil's way. If we don't become strong, we will be bullied. By one person gets the ascension to heaven. In a family, there is often a strong person who can enter the top power and cover the entire family with one person. This is why, no matter where they go, there will be people clinging together. The strength of a person is limited, and the strength of a group of people is unlimited. The realm may eventually set foot on the road of the human realm, but not now. The human world is the day when the universe has been set, and the casual repair will never start." When Mo Luo said this, he remembered who he was at the beginning. This is a past of the Maluo Kingdom. Jian Wushuang listened carefully and was shocked, and at the same time admired Mo Luo. It was an era of hunger and cold. Mo Luo was born in a ruined stone temple. His begging mother was violated by another beggar and gave birth to him. It's just that the beggar ran away long ago, leaving his mother alone to raise him. Unfortunately, because his mother lost too much blood when he was born, she froze to death in the stone temple a month later. Mo Luo was rescued by an old monk in the stone temple.